Part 14. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 131. Kai Along City, Virtual Universe Company. Luo Xia and Luo Feng walked into the hall and came to a counter for business. Gentlemen, welcome to the Virtual Universe Company. Is there anything I can do for you? A beautiful woman in a red uniform, with a pretty face and a furry tail behind her, asked Luo Xia and Luo Feng with a smile. Luo Xia glanced at the woman's tail. If it was on Earth, it would be a real mother-in-law. We want to open an account, Luo Feng said to the woman next to him. Opening an account. The woman nodded and asked, how much virtual universe network fee do you two gentlemen have to pay? Our company has 3 levels, namely 100 years, 1000 years, and 10,000 years. The annual network fee is 100 black dragon coins or 008 dry witch coins. Luo Feng raised his eyebrows slightly when he heard this, and then asked, do you have a consciousness sensing helmet here? On the way to the Virtual Universe Network Company, Luo Feng and Luo Xia had discussed it. The Earth is destined to be connected with the universe in the future. Then starting from the virtual universe is the best choice. After all, the network of the virtual universe is spread throughout the universe. As long as you wear a consciousness helmet on Earth, you can contact the cosmic life of the entire universe, which is much easier than in reality. They can first buy some consciousness helmets and return to Earth, so that a small number of Earthlings have the opportunity to contact cosmic civilization. Those who have consciousness helmets can learn in the virtual universe, bring various advanced knowledge and technologies to the Earth, and improve the overall technological level of the Earth. Yes. One consciousness sensing helmet is 100 black dragon coins. The receptionist answered, with a hint of surprise in her eyes. Now those with a little status use auxiliary optical computers or more advanced intelligent optical computers, and no one will use consciousness sensing helmets. Luo Feng asked again, what about the anonymous account? This anonymous account was popularized by Babada to the brothers. In the universe, some planetary lords will buy some consciousness sensing helmets and distribute them to their planetary people for use. These planetary people use anonymous accounts. The advantage of this anonymous account is that it is not bound to the user and can be used by everyone, but the validity period is only 100 years. After the expiration, you can only buy a new anonymous account. The receptionist nodded, realizing that these consciousness sensing helmets might be sold to the people under her command, and she smiled and said, the validity period of the anonymous account is fixed for 100 years, and the price of each account is 2,000 black dragon coins, or 6,000 wizard coins. Very good. Luo Feng nodded and said, I need 10,000 anonymous accounts and 10,000 consciousness sensing helmets. Open an account, pay for 100 years. With the wealth left by the teacher, Luo Feng and Luo Xia are not short of money now. Just buy 10,000. The receptionist seemed a little surprised. So many anonymous accounts and helmets would cost a lot of money. Sir, the total cost of the helmets and anonymous accounts is 500 million black dragon coins, which is 50,000 in wizard coins. As for the account opening and 100 years of internet fees for you two, it is 6,000 wizard coins. The receptionist said. Luo Feng nodded to Luo Xia, and Luo Xia immediately went forward to pay. After the payment was made, the formalities were quickly completed. Then the receptionist asked someone to take Luo Feng and Luo Xia to their warehouse. 10,000 consciousness sensing helmets are not a small number. If you want to pick up the goods, you can only go to the warehouse. After arriving at the warehouse, Luo Xia opened the storage ring and put the 10,000 helmets piled together into the space ring. Diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit, diamond suit. The size of these helmets is not large, and the storage space that Luo Xia pretended to have can almost hold them, and people will not suspect that his storage ring is a top-notch one. After all, Babata said that if people knew that his space ring had a space of more than 30 million cubic meters, it would definitely attract other people's greed and might lose his life. Where are we going next? Coming out of the virtual universe company, Luoxia asked. At this time, Babata suddenly said, that Gao's Hungwadi sent you a message. He said that he would invite you to dinner at a place called Beiwei Restaurant in the northern part of Kaialong City. I hope you will come. Luoxia heard this and looked at his eldest brother Luofeng. Brother, do you want to go? Luofeng pondered for a moment and said, the identity of that Gao's Hung is obviously not simple. We have just entered the universe. More friends mean more ways. Since he invited us, let's go and see. Babata also said at this time, Luofeng is right. It is necessary to make friends. Your teacher was too lonely back then. He was alone in the universe, which made that enemy hunt him down unscrupulously. If he had some friends, or joined some powerful organizations. Maybe. As she said, her tone became a little sad. Luofeng and Luoxia looked at each other, not knowing how to comfort each other. However, Babata quickly adjusted his mood and guided Luoxia and Luofeng, saying, go this way, the Beiwei restaurant is in this direction. Under Babata's guidance, Luoxia and Luofeng soon came to a casual and comfortable restaurant. Here. As soon as Luoxia and Luofeng entered the restaurant, Gao Sheng's voice came from the second floor. Luoxia and Luofeng looked up and saw Gao Sheng standing at the railing on the second floor, waving at them. Luoxia and Luofeng went up to the second floor. Brother Gao Sheng, you seem to be in a good mood, Luofeng asked Gao Sheng with a smile when he sat down. When you encounter a happy event, of course you are in a good mood. Gao Sheng's little eyes were bright, he was smiling, looking very proud. I'll tell you later, I'll order first. This Beiwei restaurant has several famous dishes. He said, waving slightly, and suddenly a voluptuous and beautiful woman with green hair came over. Luoxia and Luofeng looked around and found that this woman was not even a planet. You know, on this horny dragon planet, people walking on the streets are generally planet level and stellar level. People whose strength has not reached the planetary level have become scarce here. Brothers, the woman just now is good looking, isn't she? The women of the Menbei tribe are all beautiful. Gao Sheng saw Luoxia and Luofeng looking at the woman, blinked, and showed an expression that every man would understand. If you like it, take it away and just tell the boss. Take it away. Luofeng was a little stunned. Rorschach was thoughtful. Gao Sheng said, a beautiful woman who is not even planet level has a miserable fate. She is not even a citizen. She has no legal protection. People with some power can kill them if they want. Take away whatever they want. If you catch them, you can sell them as slaves. He glanced at Luofeng and Luoxia, took a sip of wine. If she can follow you two brothers, she will be lucky. Although the contact time was short, Gao Sheng could see that neither Luoxia nor Luofeng were the kind of playboys who would trample on their lives at will. Luofeng was shocked. Luoxia sighed slightly. Babata said this kind of thing when he was on Earth. In the universe, the weak have no human rights. The jungle law of the jungle is a cold reality in this dark and cold universe. Look, she's peeking at you two brothers. Yan, Gao Sheng teased, if any of you like her, just take her away. Luofeng quickly shook his head, he already had Su Xin. Luoxia glanced at the woman from the Menbei tribe. When the woman noticed Luoxia's gaze, her face turned red and she ran away in a panic. Not long after, exquisite dishes were served. These dishes were new to Luoxia and Luofeng. They looked quite strange, but when they entered their mouth, they tasted surprisingly delicious. It seems that even though the human race in the universe has all kinds of strange shapes, in terms of taste buds, they are still similar to those on Earth. While tasting the food, Gao Sheng also talked about why he was so happy today. He laughed and said, Today I went to meet an elder. Haha, he was so proud. He actually agreed to let me stay with him for a few years and study hard. Gao Sheng was beaming, my elder is a big boss in the energy business. I hang out with him, firstly, I can learn experience, and secondly, I can accumulate contacts. Luo Xia and Luo Feng were secretly surprised when they heard this. Not everyone can do this energy business. In such a hugely profitable industry, the threshold is extremely high, and it is not something that anyone can enter casually. This Gao Sheng's background is indeed extraordinary. Rorschach secretly told Babata, Babata, can you check Gao Sheng's information in the virtual universe? Simple, just wait for me, Babata said with a smile. After Luo Feng and Luo Xia opened accounts, she could swim in the virtual universe with the two brothers' accounts. Not long after, Babata found out the relevant information. Gao Sheng's personal information cannot be inquired, but I have found a lot of information about his Wei Di family, said Babata. The Wei Emperor family. Luo Xia glanced at Gao Sheng opposite to him, who was chatting with Luo Feng. Well, the Wei Di family is a business family. Their hometown is in the Carlo Empire, Babata said. Now their power has basically moved to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Now the Wei Di family is committed to making their influence the power spreads to the Qinwu universe country, but even the hometown of the Wei Emperor family has more than 10 universe-level experts. No wonder Gao Sheng is so high-profile and brings 4-star level bodyguards with him when he goes out, Luo Xia secretly muttered. It turns out his background is so big. By the way, brother Luo Feng, when will you and your brother leave? Gao Sheng suddenly asked. I think we will stay here on the Horned Dragon planet for a few years. If you don't leave in a hurry, we can get together more often in the future. Let's play together. Luo Feng said, we will leave soon, maybe today. The elders in the family have other arrangements. It's the arrangement of the elders in the family, so there's nothing we can do about it. Gao Sheng nodded. I am here because of my dad's arrangement. But it's okay. We can get together in the virtual universe in the future. Send me your virtual universe number and we can add a friend for easy contact. Okay. Luo Feng and Luo Xia nodded and sent Gao Sheng the network number they had just opened an account for. They add friends here. At the top of the stairs over there, 3 young men suddenly walked up. They were all very tall, nearly 2 meters each, with flowing silver hair, and wore special black uniforms. The man walking in the middle also wore a colorful medal-like pendant on his left chest. As soon as these 3 people came up, their voices spread. I heard one of them say to the man wearing the colorful pendant, Wellen, please lend me your telepathy weapon for a long time. The young man named Wellen turned his hand, and a metal disc similar to a combination of axe blades appeared in his hand. There were also strange secret patterns on the disc. This is the second-level top-level telepathy weapon I just bought. I begged my family for a long time before I got the bank card. If I can't become a universe-level weapon, this telepathy weapon will stay with me for the rest of my life. He looked like he was in pain, but his voice became louder. 6 billion Black Dragon coins. You can buy several C-class spaceships. As soon as I swipe the card, I feel pain in spending it myself. When people in the restaurant heard this, they all looked in their direction. Luo Xia curled her lips and whispered, this guy came here deliberately to show off. He shouted so loudly for fear that others would not hear him. Haha, indeed. Hearing this, Gao Sheng laughed happily. Luo Feng was a little curious and asked Babata, Babata, what level of telekinesis weapons are my Sky Escape Shuttle and Xioxia's Arc Blade? The Dungeon Shuttle and the Arc Blade are both third-level telekinesis weapons. However, due to the difference in control difficulty, the Dungeon Shuttle has too high requirements, so it is only a third-level low-grade weapon. The Arc Blade has lower requirements, so it is a third-level mid-grade weapon. Babata explained, both the 2 weapons of your 2 brothers can be used at the cosmic level. Above the 3rd level, There are the 4th level and the 5th level, which correspond to the Domain Lord level and the World Lord level respectively. Luo Feng was stunned. Over there, Wei Lin was still showing off his telepathy weapon. As he spoke, he controlled the axe-blade disc-like telepathy weapon to fly on the 2nd floor of the restaurant. As long as the amplitude of my telekinesis reaches 18, I can exert its 2nd level power. Under his control, the telekinetic weapon flew up in the restaurant. Call. The golden disc passed by a waitress, causing the waitress to lean back slightly with a panicked expression. Haha, don't be afraid. I have strong control ability. Wei Lin laughed triumphantly. Such exquisite control. The 2 young men next to him began to flatter him at the right time. At this moment, in the direction where the golden disc was flying, the green-haired Menbei girl from before came out with a tray. She obviously didn't realize there were telekinetic weapons flying around the restaurant. I was instantly frightened. The dinner plate in his hand was not held firmly, and a plate of sauce just spilled onto the golden disc, immediately making the telekinesis weapon dirty. My telekinetic weapon! Wei Lin screamed and his expression changed drastically. He controlled the golden disc to fly back and looked at the black sauce stained on it, trembling with rage. Wei Lin's mood at this time was just like that of a car lover on Earth who just bought a new car, but as soon as he drove the car back, someone scratched the hood of the car. He was extremely angry and distressed. Asshole, Wei Lin glanced at the pale-faced Menbei tribe woman, gritted his teeth, and controlled the golden disc to fly over, as if to kill the woman. Bitch, die. Call out. The golden disc flew away quickly. No. The green-haired woman looked horrified and couldn't dodge at all. At this moment, Luo Xia disappeared from the spot and suddenly appeared in front of the Menbei tribe woman, stretching out her fingers to catch the flying golden disc. Laugh. The mental power of this golden disc is extremely terrifying. Normally, only a cosmic-level powerhouse can clamp it so easily. Rorschach's strength is obviously not at the cosmic level. But his mental power is much stronger than this Wei Lin. If he directly applies his mental power to the golden disc, it can greatly weaken its kinetic energy, and then he can easily clamp it with his hand. I said, this is not how you pretend to be cool. Do your parents know that you brought 6 billion telekinesis weapons to show off? Rorschach shook his hand, and the golden disc flew out quickly. In Wei Lin's horrified eyes, the golden disc stopped just a centimeter in front of his neck. Good on. Wei Lin swallowed hard and looked at Rorschach with a look of horror and anger. Who are you? He asked. Luo Xia smiled softly and ignored Wei Lin's intention. He just turned around and stretched out his hand to the Menbei woman who fell on the ground. The Menbei tribe woman looked up at Luo Xia, with tears glistening in her eyes, looking very touching. She hesitantly put her hand on Rorschach's, and then Rorschach's strong hand pulled her up from the ground. Thank you, sir, she thanked her with a soft voice. Over there, Gao Sheng laughed loudly and asked, I said you might have fallen in love with her, and it was all a hero saving the beauty. Brother, you might as well take her back. Luo Xia shook his head and took the green-haired Menbei woman back to her original position to sit down, ignoring the livid-faced Wei Lin over there the whole time. Do you know who I am? Wei Lin stared at Rorschach, as if he wanted to kill him with his eyes. Gao Sheng looked at Wei Lin with dissatisfaction. It doesn't matter who you are. What matters is that your behavior just now is very embarrassing to the locals of the Horned Dragon planet. Do you know that? It's really embarrassing to argue with a poor little girl who is not at the planet level lose points. Who are you? Wei Lin frowned and looked at Gao Sheng. Gao's Hung Wei Di. Gao Sheng said casually. Wei Emperor. They are from the Wei Di family. It turns out to be a member of the Wei Emperor family. The other guests in the restaurant started talking in surprise when they heard Gao Sheng announce his name. Then Wei Lin's expression changed, and he looked at Gao Sheng Wei Di, as if he wanted to apologize, but he felt that apologizing would be embarrassing, so he simply said nothing, gritted his teeth and turned away. Haha, it's really interesting, I encountered such a thing on my first visit to Kai Along Star, tisk tisk. Gao Sheng laughed. Luo Xia said to Gao Sheng, I didn't cause any trouble to brother Gao Sheng when I took action just now. Hey, you kid called me brother, what trouble can there be? Gao Sheng smiled slightly, picked up the wine glass and took a sip, and said proudly, it's okay, it's just a little bastard, I'll tell you two brothers, there is no one on this Kai Along Star that I can't afford to offend. Hearing this, Luo Xia gave Gao Sheng a thumbs up. Gao Sheng was stunned, what does this mean? Luo Feng explained with a smile, on our planet, when we praise someone for being great, we will use this gesture. Oh, so that's it, interesting. Haha. Gao Sheng laughed again. He looked at the green-haired woman standing beside him and asked Luo Xia, brother Luo Xia, do you really like her? If you really like her, just take her away. Luo Xia shook his head and said with a smile, my elder brother and I will wander in the universe for a while due to the arrangement of our elders. It is a bit inconvenient to bring her with us. Wandering? Is it a trial arranged by the family? Forget it, I won't ask too much. Since you don't plan to take her, let her follow me. It just so happens that I don't have many servants on Kai Along Star. Gao Sheng said. Luo Feng looked at the green-haired woman whose future fate was decided in just a few words. While sighing in his heart, he also felt panic for the safety of the earth. Compared to the universe full of strong people, the earth is too weak. If the earth were discovered, they might end up like this girl from the Menbei tribe. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 132. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, now that we've finished our meal, how about we go to the slave market? After the meal, Gao Sheng smiled and suggested, it's not bad to get a few slaves to be servants and bodyguards. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other and nodded, let's go and have a look. So a group of people got up and walked towards the slave market. The Beiwei restaurant is not far from the slave market. They didn't walk far before they arrived at the slave market. It covers an area of more than 300 square kilometers. If it were on Earth, it would definitely be a giant city. But in this city with a history of more than 3 million years, it is just a small area. The slave market was crowded with people. According to Gao Sheng's introduction, the slave market of Kai Along Star is the largest slave market among the hundreds of galaxies around it. Each of these Tailuo people is very strong. Although they don't know how to practice and are a little stupid, everyone's physical fitness is comparable to that of a 9th level apprentice warrior. Each only needs 20 black dragon coins. If you buy more, you can get a discount. As Luo Xia and his friends walked through an area, they saw a slave trader shouting. Luo Feng was quite shocked and speechless. Apprentices of the 9th level, on Earth, would be war god level warriors. But here, they can be bought for only 20 black dragon coins. People below the planetary level cannot become citizens, so the prices are very low. Gao Sheng said as he walked, below the planetary level, unless they are extremely beautiful women or have special features, the price is around 10 black dragon coins. As he said this, his eyes suddenly lit up, and he pointed to a place not far away and said, look, there are all beauties over there. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked in the direction of Gao Sheng's finger, and saw a group of extremely beautiful women in the distance, who were pitifully behind a transparent window and were being sold as commodities. These women are really beautiful, and their appearance is very similar to that of humans on Earth, except that they have furry tails and ears similar to cat ears. 5,000 black dragon coins each, they are all first-class beauties, and there are discounts for large quantities. Outside the window, a beautiful woman called out in a tender voice. Luo Xia and Luo Feng just took a look and shifted their sight. Because in their perception, in another square, there was a very strong aura of a strong man being released. The two brothers came to this area involuntarily and looked at the slaves exuding the aura of a strong man. Planetary level 8th level warrior, 20,000 black dragon coins. Planetary level 9th level spiritualist, 100,000 black dragon coins. Luo Feng's face was quite solemn. A planetary level 9th level spiritualist would be almost invincible on Earth. But here, he only needs 100,000 black dragon coins. This was too much of a shock to him. Gao Sheng, who came over, said nonchalantly, planetary level people can only be thugs and servants at most, and they are not very useful. In the universe, stellar level people are the best options for bodyguards and servants. He looked at the planetary level and stellar level slaves in the display window. Of course, the price of stellar level people is not cheap, the lowest is 100 million black dragon coins. Let's look forward, there are all-star level masters over there, Gao Sheng said, and walked forward with Luo Feng and Luo Xia. After walking a few steps, they came to another area, where 18 warriors and spiritualists stood, all of whom were star level masters. They were star level 1st level, 2nd level, 3rd level, 9th level warriors and spiritualists. Seeing Luo Xia and the others coming, these star level slaves took the initiative to release their auras and show their strength. Luo Xia frowned and looked at these slaves. Gao Sheng muttered, so strong. My calves can't help but tremble a little. Luo Feng looked at these slaves and nodded slightly, yes, they are very strong. He looked at the price of these slaves and said in surprise, the star level 1st level warrior is really cheap, only 1 million. The star level 4th level is only 20 million. Tisk, the star level 9th level warrior is priced at 5 billion. Gao Sheng is knowledgeable and commented, their prices here are quite reasonable. At this time, the slave trader here bent over and asked with a smile, gentlemen, do you have any plans for these star level slaves? Gao Sheng looked at the slave trader and said, I already have star level ones. He changed the subject and asked, I heard that there were cosmic level slaves for sale on Kai Along Star last time. Rorschach touched his chin when he heard about cosmic level slaves. Luo Feng was shocked over there. According to Babada, a galaxy can only produce a cosmic level strongman if it develops normally. That is a real strongman. In a galaxy, he can be regarded as a local emperor. Now there are cosmic level strongmen being sold as slaves, which is incredible. The slave trader smiled slightly when he heard Gao Sheng's words and said, Sir, do you want to buy cosmic level slaves? I can ask my boss to arrange it. Gao Sheng smiled, I just want to ask, I can't afford cosmic level slaves. Rorschach asked at this time, what is the basic price of your cosmic level slaves? Gao Sheng and the slave trader looked at Luo Xia, both of them were a little surprised. The slave trader said, Sir, because it is very difficult to capture a cosmic level strongman alive, and it is even more difficult to implant a slave chip, the price of a cosmic level slave is in units of trillions of black dragon coins, which is more expensive than a planet. Luo Xia nodded and said helplessly, I was still thinking that if it costs hundreds of billions, I would buy one. Since it costs 1 trillion, I might as well forget it. As soon as these words came out, Gao Sheng and the slave merchants were secretly surprised. They casually spent hundreds of billions to buy slaves, and they were extremely valuable. No wonder they could buy Liuyan guards as bodyguards. The slave merchant smiled and said, Sir, if you don't want to buy cosmic level slaves, you can also buy more slaves of the 9th level stellar level. If you are lucky and one of the slaves breaks through to the cosmic level, you will make a profit. Are you fooling my brother? Gao Sheng glared, the 9th level of stellar level breaks through to the cosmic level? 1 in 100,000. The slave merchant laughed, that's what I said. Rorschach waved his hand and said, take us to see the stellar slaves. The slave merchant's eyes lit up, and he immediately bowed and said, gentlemen, please follow me. We only have a small number of stellar slaves on display here, and many more can be viewed through virtual projection. Gao Sheng shook his head at this time. If you want to buy slaves, I won't follow you. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, let's say goodbye here. We will contact you in the virtual universe in the future. Okay, virtual universe connection. Luo Xia and Luo Feng nodded, said goodbye to Gao Sheng, and followed the slave merchant to a gorgeous reception room. Two gentlemen, you are free to retrieve and view all the slave information we have. After the slave merchant entered the room, he immediately waved his hand, filling the entire room with the projections of various slaves, not only with detailed information on their appearance and height, but also on their strength and race. Babata, come out to work. Rorschach called out Babata from the wrist guard. There were so many slaves, and he and his eldest brother were not familiar with the situation, so they might not be able to choose a good one. But Babata is different. She has a huge database, which contains information on most races in the universe, which can help Luo Xia and Luo Feng quickly select suitable slaves. Let me ask first, do you plan to buy a few slaves, or more? Babata asked. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. Luo Feng said, buy more. We will definitely have to travel in the universe more often in the future. Having more stellar slaves can also help protect the Earth and our families. If you want to buy more slaves, it is best to choose slaves of the same race. This can ensure that there will be no barriers or friction between the slaves, and they can be more united. Babata said. Rorschach said, I will do as you say. Babata glanced at the slave information in front of her. A stream of data flashed in her eyes, and then she said, among these slaves, the one with the better race is the Black Mongolian. This. Babata began to pick. Luo Feng synchronized his movements and said to the slave merchant waiting aside, these are 3-star level 5th level mentalists. The slave trader happily noted, okay. Each of these 5th level astral level spiritual masters is worth 400 million black dragon coins, and 3 of them are worth 200 million black dragon coins. Big business. Waiting for the slave merchant, Luo Feng said again, there are also these 3-star level 7th level spiritual masters. The slave merchant was shocked when he heard this, 7th level astral level spiritual masters. 3. A stellar 7th level spiritual master costs 1.5 billion black dragon coins. 3 are 4.5 billion black dragon coins. These two gentlemen in front of me are truly wealthy. Luo Feng looked at the slave merchant, did you remember it? The slave merchant nodded quickly, I'll take note of it. He was overjoyed. If the deal is completed today, his bonus will be indispensable. Huh, Babata was suddenly startled and said in surprise, I didn't expect there to be slaves of this race here. What race? Rorschach asked. From the Spirit Fox clan. As Babata said, a slave's data projection appeared in front of Luo Xia and Luo Feng. Their race is relatively famous in the entire universe because it is rich in beauties and spiritual masters. Almost every person from the Spirit Fox tribe becomes a powerful illusion spiritual master as long as they grow up. Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at the projection and found that the slave had fox ears and 3 furry fox tails on his back. He had an alluring appearance, was charming and extremely charming. Because the Spirit Fox tribe is rich in beauties and handsome men and illusion-type spiritual masters, their home planet was bombed by powerful people a long time ago. The remaining Spirit Fox tribe members are either wandering in the universe or being captured and sold as slaves. There are very few of them. I didn't expect to see them here. Babata said. Stellar level 3, priced at 6 billion black dragon coins, Luo Xia glanced at it, a little frightened, turned to the slave merchant and asked, she is just a stellar level 3 mentalist, why is the price so high? Expensive. The slave merchant smiled and said, sir, this is a girl from the Spirit Fox clan. Even if she is not a warrior or a spiritual master, she can be sold for tens of thousands of black dragon coins just based on her appearance, not to mention that she is a third-level star level. Psychic Master, 6 billion Black Dragon coins, not expensive at all. Babata said, actually, the price is quite reasonable, but the value of the Spirit Fox clan is not in their stunning looks, but in their illusion skills. They can be said to be the race that is best at illusions in the universe. Even if their strength is only at the star level, the illusions they cast will fall into the trap of a cosmic level powerhouse who is not strong-willed enough. Hearing this, Luo Xia nodded to his elder brother Luo Feng. Luo Feng immediately said to the slave merchant, "We want this slave too." "No problem." The slave merchant smiled so hard that it was difficult to sell the Spirit Fox slave because the price was too high. After all, looks cannot be eaten. But the price was low, and the boss suffered again. This slave from the Spirit Fox tribe, who is also the boss of the slave merchant, spent a lot of money to get it from other galaxies. If you don't sell it for 6 billion Black Dragon coins, you won't make any money. Well. Luo Feng looked at the slave merchant and asked, "How much discount can you give us?" 50% off. Definitely the biggest discount. The slave trader shouted. "Okay, you will give us 10 star level first level ones, 5 warriors and 5 spiritual masters each. Then come 1000 planet level 9th level mental masters." "Sir." When the slave merchant heard this, he looked as if his whole family had died, and stared, "I can't give away so many. You're just going to kill me." 10 first level stars. Half for the warrior and half for the spiritual master, worth 20 million Black Dragon coins. 1000 planet level 9th level spiritual masters, worth 100 million. One price, 10.7 billion Black Dragon coins. Luo Feng looked at the slave merchant, "Those slaves I selected before, plus the additional head I just mentioned." The slave merchant's forehead was sweating. He was doing crazy calculations in his mind, and finally nodded, "Okay. If you insist on calculating it based on the price, the money Luo Feng gave is a bit too little." But in fact, some of the slaves sold were at exaggerated prices, so in the end, the slave merchants also made a profit. By the way, those races who want to have their heads are also from the Black Mongolian tribe. I will pay a deposit of 1 billion first, and when I inform you to send the slaves to the planet's parking port, we will make the delivery there." Luo Feng said. The slave merchant smiled broadly and said, "No problem." Luo Feng nodded and left the slave mall with Luo Xia. "Next, you two have to go to the Ganu Dojo to register," Babata reminded. Joining Ganu Dojo was Hu Yanbo's arrangement for his disciples before his death. Because back then, because he was too independent and had no friends or power, he was hunted down by his enemies everywhere, and eventually died tragically. So Hu Yanbo learned his lesson and asked his disciples to join forces with no restrictions. In this way, if Luo Feng and Luo Xia provoke any enemies in the future, those enemies will also be concerned about the organizational forces that Luo Xia and the others have joined, and will not be too unscrupulous. There's not much to say about joining a Gansha dojo. According to Babata's explanation, these so-called Ganu dojos are schools built by the Ganu Empire in each of its subordinate universe countries. As long as they are within the territory of Kinwu Universe Kingdom, every warrior and spiritual master who reaches the planetary level can join Kinwu Dojo. There are no tests or other requirements. There is no threshold for joining the Kinwu Dojo. Luo Xia and Luo Feng each paid 1000 Black Dragon coins to become disciples of the Kinwu Dojo. The two of them did not stop at the Ganu Dojo and flew directly towards the city gate. While saying goodbye to Gao Sheng, they contacted the businessman in the slave mall. "Hey, yes, let's set off immediately. We will come over to meet you, and then we will go to the planet parking port together." After making contact, Luo Feng took Luo Xia and flew towards the gate of Baikan district. Not long after, they came to a restaurant very close to the city gate. Under the guidance of the waiter, Luo Feng and Luo Xia came to the luxurious box on the 6th floor. There is already a person sitting in the box. Behind this man stood the former slave trader and 2 bodyguards in black uniforms. The person sitting there is a 3rd-level astral level mentalist, and the 2 bodyguards behind him are 9th-level astral level mentalists. Babata said. Luo Xia and Luo Feng remained calm and looked at the sitting person. Hello, my name is Wu Xi, and I am the supervisor here at Qiu Longxing. Hello, Mr. Wu Xi, nice to meet you. Luo Feng came forward to talk with a smile on his face. If nothing happens, let's set off immediately. The customer's request is our will. Wu Xi smiled slightly and said, the spaceship is already waiting outside the city. Gentlemen, please. He entertained Rorschach and Luo Feng into the cabin of the spaceship. In this cabin, a hall was specially decorated to receive guests. I wonder where these 2 gentlemen are from. After everyone sat down, Wu Xi asked curiously. Luo Feng smiled slightly and said, sorry, I can't tell you. Oh, I was reckless. Please don't mind, gentlemen. Wu Xi quickly apologized. He could only encounter Luo Feng and Luo Xia's one-time purchase of more than 10 billion black dragon coins if he was lucky. Wu Xi didn't dare to anger Luo Xia and Luo Feng. After all, is this kind of business possible again? The spaceship has arrived at the planet's parking port. While eating and drinking, the spaceship has arrived at the docking port. Wu Xi stood up and said to Luo Xia and Luo Feng, 2 gentlemen, the spaceship has arrived, so let's start the slave handover now. I don't know you 2. Luo Feng stood up, it's me. Wu Xi nodded, because it is the highest master recognition authority. From now on, these slaves can no longer be controlled by our slave traders, and the control rights belong to you, Mr. Luo, so it may take a little time to change the master recognition authority of more than 1,000 slaves. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. Wu Xi led the way in front. The slaves are all in the hall on the 2nd floor, please follow me, gentlemen. Entering the 2nd floor of the spacecraft, in the spacious hall with a diameter of more than 100 meters, there are a large number of slaves who are either burly or cold or enchanting and beautiful. Except for wearing uniforms, you can't tell from the outside that they are slaves. Mr. Luo, please stand in front, Wu Xi said, the whole process will probably take a while. Okay. Luo Feng nodded, walked to the front of the hall, and looked at the slaves standing upright. Among these slaves, there was a woman with 3 fox tails. She was very tall, about 1.8 meters tall, with long and round legs, a curvy figure, and a gorgeous face. She was the slave of the spirit fox tribe that Babata had discovered before. Beep. A strange sound rang out. In an instant, the eyes of all the slaves became a little dull, and in the corner of the hall, Luo Xia, who was standing behind Wu Xi, saw that Wu Xi was arranging his men to quickly operate the instruments, and some of the instruments were facing Luo Feng, as if collecting Luo Feng's information. Time passed by minute. Gradually, the eyes of the slaves lit up one by one, and became spirited again. Master! All the thousands of slaves bowed to Luo Feng and made extremely respectful voices. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 133. Mr. Luo rightward arrow. Wu Xi walked towards Luo Feng carrying the silver box with a smile on his face. Everything is done. Inside are the control terminal microchips of 1017 slaves. One control terminal chip corresponds to one slave. If the microchip is inserted into the auxiliary optical brain, it can operating. How to operate? I have distributed an information storage card with detailed explanation here. He handed the silver box to Luo Feng. Luo Feng nodded and gestured slightly to Luo Xia, Mr. Wu Si, happy cooperation, my brother will transfer the money right now. Rorschach transferred all the remaining balance to the slave dealer's account, and the delivery was considered complete. Wu Si laughed loudly when he saw the message from the auxiliary optical brain that the balance had arrived. Mr. Luo, it's a pleasure to cooperate with your brothers. This is my virtual universe network number. If you want to buy slaves in the future, you can come to me. If you have any requirements for slaves, just ask. I will definitely give you the biggest discount. Must. After some pleasantries, Luo Feng looked at the slave he bought with a smile and said, "Follow me." "Yes, master." These slaves spontaneously distinguished themselves by rank and followed Luo Feng. Luo Xia was walking beside Luo Feng and could hear some slaves talking. "I got a headache after admitting my master. It seems that our new master has great status and status. I hope he will have a good life in the future." Hearing this, Luo Xia chuckled and shook his head. Not long after, they arrived at the sea level area where Black Dragon Mountain X-81 was parked. The green-skinned man who had received them before looked respectfully at Luo Xia and Luo Feng, who were surrounded by slaves, and said, "Dear sir, you are welcome to come to Kai Alongxing again in the future." Rorschach and Luo Feng watched the slave enter the spacecraft, and this time let Babata control the spacecraft and leave the docking port. Horny Dragon in outer space. In the control room of the Black Dragon spacecraft, the 7 stellar slaves, including the Spirit Fox tribe woman, stood respectfully behind Luo Feng. As for the warriors and spiritual masters of the first level stellar level, they have to manage 1000 planet level slaves. They live in the middle and lower floors of the spacecraft. The spaceship has left the Horned Dragon planet. On the console screen, the cute avatar of the little devil Babata appeared. It's accelerating now. After a while, the spaceship is about to reach the speed of light in 10 seconds and start traveling through the universe. The spacecraft shook slightly. Lasts for 10 seconds. The shuttle was successful and we have entered the dark universe. At this time, Luo Feng and Luo Xia looked at the 7 slaves behind them. "Xioxia, do you want me to give you some of my slave rights?" Luo Feng asked. Luo Xia shook his head, looked at the Spirit Fox slave, and said, "Brother, just give me her authority. The new soul mark developed based on the teacher's slave soul mark is almost ready. I'll try it on her." The body of the Spirit Fox slave trembled slightly, but he did not dare to make any movement to resist. She didn't know what Rorschach was going to experiment on her, but she knew that it might not be something good. Luo Feng nodded and began to operate according to the operation information left by Wu Si, transferring the highest identity of the Linghu clan slave to Luo Xia. Not long after, the Spirit Fox tribe bowed slightly towards Luo Xia and shouted respectfully, "Master." Rorschach nodded, his expression a little grim at this time, and asked, "Do you have your own name?" The Spirit Fox clan slave nodded and said, "My name, translated into common language, is Melissa Phantom Tail." Phantom Tail. On the console screen, Babata was shocked, "You are actually from the Phantom Tail clan." Luo Xia and Luo Feng were a little confused. Luo Xia asked, "Babata, what happened to the Phantom Tail clan?" The Spirit Fox clan is a big clan, and the Phantom Tail clan is a branch of the Spirit Fox clan. The Spirit Fox clan members with Phantom Tail bloodline will have very high illusion skills. It is recorded in my database that the members of the Phantom Tail clan were exterminated millions of years ago. Unexpectedly, there is still a clan member of the Phantom Tail clan left in the world. Luo Xia, Luo Feng, we have found a treasure this time," Babata said happily. When Melissa Phantom Tail heard Babata's words, her expression was dim and she had no words. Rorschach touched his chin and asked, "Is there anyone else in your Phantom Tail clan?" "I don't know." Melissa shook her head, "After my mother died, I never saw other members of my tribe." "That's it?" Rorschach nodded. He might have sympathy in his heart, but not much. He looked at Melissa and said, "Follow me from now on. At least I won't let you live the same life again." Melissa's eyes brightened when she heard this. At this time, Luo Feng looked at the other black Mongolian slaves. These black Mongolian slaves were similar in stature to Earthlings. They were all handsome boys and beauties. However, after opening their mouths, they had two fangs and their eyes were red. They looked quite evil. Different. "Do you have your own name too?" he asked. Master, one of the black Mongolian women of the 7th level of the stellar level, said with a smile, "My name translated into the universal language of the universe is, Ebola Shadani Anatasna." "Master, my name is Oda Asahi Cognizancherad." "Master, my name." They announced their names one after another. Luo Feng felt dizzy after hearing this and said, "Forget it, your names are too long. It would be too troublesome to call you names. I don't care what you call each other when chatting. From now on, I will call you Menyi and Menyi are Meng-san." In one go, Luo Feng made up new names for the 6 stellar level black Mongolian slaves. Melissa next to her looked at all this and secretly felt lucky that her name was not long. "Okay, you can go down and rest." Luo Feng waved his hand and asked the 6 Haiming people to leave. Melissa looked at Rorschach. Rorschach said, "You stay first." Melissa nodded, feeling very fearful in her heart. She knew that Rorschach was going to use her to test the enslavement soul mark, but she couldn't resist at all and could only wait silently for the fate that befell her. Soon, only the Rorschach brothers and Melissa were left in the command room. Babida appeared next to Rorschach and asked him, "Rorschach, have you really developed the enslavement soul mark you mentioned?" Rorschach nodded. After the life gene was increased by 10 times by the original will of the universe, he found that his understanding seemed to have been liberated to a large extent, and he became stronger than before. Now he has not only developed the enslaving soul mark he imagined, but also has a lot of understanding of the law of wind. It's just that there has never been a chance to use it. "I'm going to start casting," Rorschach said. Luo Feng and Babida both stepped aside and quietly watched Rorschach perform. Melissa lowered her head and her body was shaking a little, but she still stood quietly without any movement. Condensation. Suddenly, she heard Rorschach's voice, and the next second, a red soul mark flew towards Melissa. This red soul seal was extremely complicated. Luo Feng just watched and felt dizzy after just one glance. He felt that the soul seal contained some of the most complex and weird power in the world. The red soul mark was not big, like a spot of light, and penetrated from between Melissa's eyebrows. In an instant, Melissa's eyes were dyed red. Deep in her soul, Rorschach's condensed enslavement soul mark appeared here and was imprinted here. From this moment on, Melissa will surrender to Rorschach wholeheartedly. If Rorschach dies, her soul will also dissipate. Of course, this is only the most basic effect of the soul mark. Luo Xia's newly developed enslavement soul mark has even stronger effects. The first effect, when Melissa practices, part of the transformed genetic energy and spiritual power will flow into Rorschach's body through the soul mark. The second effect, Rorschach's will can descend into Melissa's body at any time and completely control her body. The above is the effect of Luo Xia's newly developed enslavement soul mark. Compared with the previous enslavement soul mark, the effect is greatly enhanced. "Owner," Melissa called Rorschach respectfully. Compared with her previous tone, she now looked at Rorschach with a feeling of attachment and admiration. "Okay, Melissa, you can practice now and see," Rorschach ordered. Melissa nodded and started practicing. As she practiced, wisps of spiritual power and genetic energy flowed to the red soul seal deep in her soul. On Luo Xia's side, one can clearly sense that a red soul mark in the sea of consciousness is flowing out wisps of mental power and genetic energy. After these mental powers flow out, they are integrated into the mental power stars. The original energy of genes also flows out from the sea of consciousness and merges into the original star of Danshan along the meridians. The new slave soul mark developed by Rorschach, in addition to one on the slave's side, also needs to be condensed in his sea of consciousness. This soul mark is inextricably linked to the soul mark in the slave's soul. Rorschach can put his consciousness into the slave's body through the soul mark in the sea of consciousness, and completely control his body. At the same time, you can also use the soul seal to absorb the spiritual power and original force generated by the slave during cultivation. Okay, you can stop. After confirming the effect of the new enslavement soul mark, Rorschach nodded, asked Melissa to stop practicing, and then said, "You can go down and rest, Melissa." "Yes, Master," Melissa responded, twisting her slender waist and leaving the command room with her long, round thighs. After Melissa left, Babata excitedly jumped in front of Rorschach and shouted, "Rorschach, you are a genius. The strongest genius. You can actually develop such a powerful slave soul mark based on the Masters. You are amazing." Rorschach was slightly proud. Teacher Huanbo's enslavement soul mark was originally very powerful, but now he has developed a stronger enslavement soul mark, which can fully withstand Babata's praise. "Zioxia, I think your enslavement soul mark is tens of thousands of times more complicated than the teacher's enslavement soul mark. I just took a look at it and my head felt a little dizzy." Luo Feng said. "That's right," Luo Xia explained. "If the elder brother wants to learn the enslavement soul seal like mine, he must at least master the teacher's enslavement soul seal before he can learn my enslavement soul seal." Luo Feng nodded, "I understand. He hasn't even mastered the soul seal of 10,000 swords yet, and there is still a long way to go before he can master the soul seal of slavery." Luo Feng was not in a hurry. The most important thing for him right now is to improve the strength of the golden horned behemoth. As long as the strength of the golden horned behemoth increases, other secret techniques can be slowly mastered. "Luo Feng, Luo Xia, according to the plan, now we have to enter the virtual universe and find a planet that can be used to receive the goods from the universe. Otherwise, it will be more troublesome for you to purchase goods in the virtual universe in the future," Babata reminded. "Well, let's enter the virtual universe. This plan has been discussed since leaving the Earth. Because the coordinates of the Earth were covered by Teacher Huyanbo's secret method of space, the coordinates of the Earth would not be exposed until they broke the secret method. Naturally, they could not use the Earth as a place to receive goods from the universe. It was also because of Teacher Huyanbo's secret space technique that Luo Xia and the others could not buy the Earth. Unless a space wormhole appears in the void area where the Earth is located, official personnel of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire can enter the void area and reach the Earth for data authentication and review. Otherwise, even if they can submit the coordinates of the Earth now, outsiders cannot enter because of the existence of space secrets, and the Black Dragon Mountain Empire will not recognize that Rorschach's purchase of the Earth is valid and legally guaranteed. As a result, Rorschach and the others can only find a planet relatively close to the Earth as their base and warehouse for receiving cosmic goods. We can only choose a planet that is close to the Earth and convenient as a warehouse base." Under Babata's operation, Luo Feng and Rorschach's consciousness instantly entered the virtual universe world. In the virtual universe, the huge Black Dragon Mountain Empire is just an island. Although it is an island, its area is huge, larger than any planet in reality. In the virtual universe, the Kinwu Universe country, which is an advanced civilization in the universe, is a vast and boundless continent. Luo Feng and Luo Xia suddenly appeared on a street on the island. It won't surprise anyone around you either. Because many people, like Luo Feng and Rorschach, will suddenly appear with an elf called a virtual assistant sitting on their shoulders. Virtual assistants usually come with consciousness sensing helmets. If the user uses an auxiliary optical brain, an intelligent optical brain, or an intelligent life, the assistant will show different appearances. For example, Rorschach, Sitting on his shoulders at this time is Babata. On Luo Feng's shoulders was an automatically generated elf. Babata looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng, smiled, flew up, opened his hands, and shouted to them, "Now you have entered the virtual universe. In the virtual universe, you can chat with your friends remotely. You can also spend money to teleport and meet in the virtual universe." Babata explained, in addition, some things similar to securities and futures can also be operated in the virtual universe. You can bind it to your bank account. You can learn martial arts here. You can order and buy here. You can play virtual games. This is a 100% simulated virtual game, exactly the same as reality. There are many kinds of virtual games. It can be said that there is nothing that game providers can't do except what you can't think of. Babata said, the virtual universe is a market that is infinitely larger than any other planet. All the human elites in the universe are gathered here, and things that cannot be achieved in reality can be achieved here. Some people regard virtual games as reality and play them for hundreds or thousands of years. They get married and have children in the game. Of course, the premise is, you have money to play the game. After all, most players of virtual games pay money. Only a very small number make money. She looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng and warned with a serious expression, but virtuality is just virtuality after all. No matter how long you stay in the virtual universe, you can't let your body practice. The virtual universe is just a convenience for the strong. Channel. You can get to know and communicate with many like-minded strong people through it. You must not be addicted to games. Indulge in the virtual universe, do you understand? Rorschach smiled slightly. Babata, do you think my eldest brother and I are children? Of course we understand this. Don't worry, we won't be addicted to any games or virtual universes. Babata smiled and said, although according to the laws and social consciousness of the earth, you are indeed adults. But in your 20s, in the universe, you are still considered a child. Luo Feng shook his head with a smile and said, okay, Babata, let's start collecting information and see which planet is more suitable for becoming our second base. Babata nodded, no problem, just wait. While Babata was collecting information, Rorschach and Luo Feng came to a chair next to the street and sat down. They watched the various aliens coming and going with great interest and found it very interesting. According to Babata's popular science, most people who enter the virtual universe will adjust and change their appearance and height. There are also many people who will use the original version directly. To put it simply, there are many online scams in this virtual universe. If you don't identify them carefully, you can easily be fooled. I found it. Babata was very efficient. Not long after, she shouted, I have collected information and found that there are a large number of planets that meet your requirements within 30,000 light-years from the Earth. They can serve as our second base. The first base is naturally the Earth. Luo Feng and Luo Xia did not have many requirements for the second base, only 4. Get as close to the Earth as possible. As cheap as possible. The population on this planet should be as small as possible and the warehouse should be as large as possible. Babata added, among them, Balan star is the most suitable. It is a planet in the Milky Way, only 180,000 light-years away from the Earth. Babata began to introduce this planet to Luo Xia and Luo Feng using virtual projection. Balan star is in an extremely low temperature state all year round, and the coldest place can reach about -120 degrees. The warmest place is also about -10 degrees most of the time. The entire planet has a population of 2.1 billion, and because of the low temperature, almost all of them live in cities. In the extremely cold area of Balan star, there is a large warehouse base with a length of 98 kilometers and a width of 61 kilometers. It is being listed for sale. The permanent property rights of this warehouse base are priced at 800 million silver blue coins. Babata said, after that, You only need to pay the planet management tax of 600,000 silver blue coins each year. Luo Feng and Luo Xia looked at each other and laughed. Luo Feng said to Babata, then it's Balin Star. Babata, exit the virtual universe, let's go to Balin Star to have a look. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 134. Wait a minute. Seeing that Luo Feng and Luo Xia were about to exit the virtual universe, Babata stopped the two brothers in a state of laughter and laughter. Ah, Luo Feng was confused, what are you waiting for? There are still many things we have to do in the future. If we negotiate with Bai Langxing as soon as possible, we can also do other things earlier. Babata flew in front of Luo Feng, stretched out her finger and pointed at his forehead. Think about it carefully, why do I want you to enter the virtual universe? Rorschach blinked, because the matter of Bai Langxing can be discussed in the virtual universe. That's right. Otherwise, why do you think I called you into the virtual universe? Babata put his hands on his hips and looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng. After entering the universe, don't always look at things and do things with the thinking on Earth. Because the technology of the universe is more advanced. Things that cannot be done on Earth can be easily done here. For example, when it comes to renting Bai Langxing's warehouse, we don't have to go to Bai Langxing at all. We can directly negotiate the deal by finding the relevant person in charge of Bai Langxing in the virtual universe. Many officials and companies in the real universe have special offices in the virtual universe. Contact the relevant person in charge of Bai Langxing directly and have an interview here. After the discussion, we will just buy the various resources you need for cultivation and ask them to send those resources to Balin Star. Then we will go to Balin Star, take these resources, and return directly to Earth. In this way, we don't have to waste time waiting for the express in Bai Langxing. When Luo Xia and Luo Feng heard this, they both looked at each other with a wry smile. Indeed, when they are currently acting in the universe, they still use the thinking of the Earth, thinking that such things need to go to Balin Star, but in fact, as long as they are in the virtual universe, everything can be solved. Then Babata, contact the relevant person in charge of Bai Langxing. Luo Feng said. Babata nodded and quickly contacted the person in charge of Bai Langxing. After more than 3 hours of negotiations. In the end, Rorschach and the others reached an agreement with Bai Langxing's management. The permanent property rights of the 98 kilometers long and 61 kilometers wide warehouse space were purchased for 800,000 Black Dragon coins, and the management tax was exempted for 500 years. After the matter was settled, Luo Xia and Luo Feng began to purchase training resources in the virtual universe. Rorschach asked, Babata, can I buy Mui crystal in this virtual universe? Babata nodded, of course you can buy it. However, Mui crystal is very precious and expensive. If you want to buy it, you need certain qualifications and channels. Even if the owner leaves you the money, I'm afraid you won't be able to buy many Mui crystals. Forget it about Mu Yajing. Hearing this, Luo Xia crossed Mu Yajing off the purchase list and looked at his eldest brother Luo Feng. Now that my eldest brother's strength is enhanced, he mainly relies on the inner world of the golden horned beast, so let's buy various metals first. Babata added, in addition to purchasing metals, Luo Feng's earthly body can also be enhanced by using the blue wave marrow. Luo Feng said, then buy some more Bibo marrow. His mental power is now at the 9th level of the planetary level, and his body is at the 6th level of the planetary level. If Bibo marrow and Mui crystal are assisted at the same time, the mental power can be broken through to the first level of star level within 3 months. As for Rorschach, he doesn't need much medical assistance. His current energy is focused on understanding the law of wind. The understanding of the law depends purely on personal understanding. Although there are some treasures that can help people understand the power of the law, such treasures are extremely expensive and cannot be afforded by Luo Xia and Luo Feng now. Fortunately, even without the aid of treasures, Luo Xia's understanding is enough to be unparalleled. The power of laws he can comprehend is many times that of many top geniuses. Babata, place an order directly for the most expensive and best metal combination, Rorschach said to Babata. Luo Feng frowned and said, Xiao Xia, is this too expensive? The most expensive and best metal combination costs 60 billion black dragon coins a year. Brother, the stronger your golden horned giant beast is, the more confident we will be in venturing into the universe. Don't be afraid of spending money now. I believe we can earn back the money we spend later. Rorschach said. Hearing this, Luo Feng had no choice but to nod. The metal combination Rorschach mentioned is a bit expensive, but the improvement to the golden horned behemoth is also huge. It can increase the growth rate of the golden horned behemoth's internal world to 89 times. Of course, that's why they dare to spend so much money. The main reason is that the property left by teacher Hu Yanbo is very rich. 10 billion dry witch coins are enough for the two of them for a long time. And as Rorschach said, when their strength improves, the money spent can be earned back later. Anyway, for Rorschach now, money is real money only when it is spent. Otherwise, it would just stay there and be just a bunch of numbers. Babata, help me see if there are any better energy crystals in the virtual universe, Rorschach said. If his golden horned behemoth clone wants to hatch quickly, it needs to be supplied with a lot of energy. Energy crystals can be swallowed and absorbed by the cave world and transformed into pure force and spiritual power. As long as there are enough energy crystals, Rorschach can speed up the hatching of the golden horned behemoth clone. Babata searched and calculated together, and after a while, he said to Rorschach, Rorschach, I did some research. If you buy these energy crystals according to the list I made, you can spend the least money and make your golden horned beast clone. The incubation time is shortened to 2 years. She drew her little hand in the void, and a list appeared in front of Rorschach. Starry Sky Crystal, Amethyst Stone, Crudenk Energy Crystal. Rorschach glanced at it, then looked at the price at the end of the list, 56.2 billion black dragon coins. Okay, just buy these energy crystals. Babata nodded and started to place the order. She said, these energy crystals I selected can be swallowed and absorbed by your cave world, and they can also greatly increase your cultivation speed. While hatching the clone of the golden horned giant beast, your cultivation will continue to grow. Rorschach nodded. Luo Feng said with emotion, the time we spent talking about each other has cost more than 100 billion. Babata asked, do you want to buy anything else? Luo Xia looked at his eldest brother Luo Feng and suggested, brother, should we buy some potions that can improve the physical fitness of people on Earth? It is said that the poor can only take care of themselves, but the prosperous can help the world. In the future, the Earth will be integrated into the cosmic civilization, and it will definitely not be possible to rely solely on the two brothers to work hard. Everyone on Earth must become strong. Their Earth will become safer and safer. Luo Feng nodded, yes, I want to buy some potions that can improve the physical fitness of people on Earth. There are many treasures in the universe that are beneficial to the evolution of the body. The better the effect, the more expensive the price. For example, the blue wave essence that Luo Feng wants to buy has a stimulating effect on the body of planet-level warriors. 1 gram costs 9,000 black dragon coins. Luo Feng looked at Babata and asked, Babata, do you have anything to recommend? Babata muttered, the people on Earth haven't made any money for you yet, so you're going to spend money on them. Even though she said this, she still started searching. After a while, Babata projected a purple potion in front of Luo Xia and Luo Feng. This is purple light dew. She introduced to Luo Feng and Luo Xia, with 15 milliliters of purple light dew, advanced martial arts students on Earth can be promoted to the first level of apprentice. And purple light dew is very cheap. 1 kilogram of purple light dew only costs 10 black dragon coins. Can we really promote advanced students to the first level of apprenticeship? Luo Feng asked. Of course, Babata nodded, you are buying it for high-level students. They are not even first-level apprentices. If you buy something too good, they can't digest it. This purple light dew is just right. Hearing this, Luo Feng nodded and said, then buy it. Buy, 100,000 tons. So many, Babata blinked, are you sure? Okay, Luo Feng nodded. 100,000 tons is enough to turn 10 billion people into warriors. Today, because the Earth has experienced the Great Nirvana, the population has not yet reached 10 billion. Luo Feng said, Xioxia and I are not strong enough to make the people on Earth rise. Only by making everyone stronger can the Earth gain a firm foothold in this universe. Rorschach nodded aside. This is a long and arduous road. Because the number of warriors on the Earth is very small. According to the current officially disclosed data, the ratio of ordinary people to warriors is almost 10,000:1. Most are ordinary people. But if the purple light dew is released, the number of warriors can be greatly increased. As long as the number of warriors on the Earth reaches hundreds of millions, the genetic evolution of the race can be accelerated. By then, everyone on Earth will be a warrior. As soon as a child is born, he has the potential to become a warrior. Babata said, okay, I have already bought it. Because we bought a large quantity, the merchant also gave us a discount, 20% off. It only costs 800 million black dragon coins. Luo Feng nodded. Next, the two brothers did not buy anything more. They wandered around in the virtual universe, then retreated and continued practicing. Rorschach discovered that the red soul mark in the sea of consciousness has been flowing out of mental power and original force. It seems that Melissa worked hard and continued to practice after leaving the command room. He nodded with satisfaction. Time passed quietly as the two brothers practiced. 9 days later. Babata reminded, we are about to arrive at the cosmic coordinates of the area where Balan's star is located, and we will start traveling through the universe in 320 seconds. Luo Xia and Luo Feng both woke up from their training. Babata, have all the things we bought arrived at Beilangzing? Rorschach asked. Babata made some inquiries and said, basically everything has arrived, except for some precious metals that are still on the way, but those metals will arrive at Balan's star in 3 days at the latest. Luo Feng raised his eyebrows slightly, it seems that we will stay in Beilangzing for a while longer. Milky Way, Balan's star. The northern part of Balan's star is an extremely cold area. Super large warehouse bases are scattered across this cold land, and each warehouse base is very beautifully built. At this moment, a silver-white spaceship was parked in front of one of the larger warehouse bases. Director, when will the two guests arrive? We have been waiting here for a long time. In the spacecraft, more than 10 people were sitting together. I said, Director. In fact, the contract has been signed, and he has given the money. There is no need for us to personally go out to welcome this guest. Can we just let some of the staff below handle it? Our entire department has to go out, it's too disrespectful. Is he there? Another middle-aged man holding a hot drink said slowly. People like them can come here by airship, and their status is very high. Now they were asked to come to this ice and snow place to welcome two young people, and they felt very dissatisfied. What's the rush? The director is a very fat gentleman. Judging from his weight, we know that he has the real qualities to be able to sit in the position of director. He glanced at the other people in the cabin and said in a low voice, you idiots. Your brains are damaged by sitting in the office, right? Why don't you use your stupid brains and think about why I want to take you, come. How dare you question my actions? Director, who is here? Everyone shrank when the director scolded them, and one of them asked cautiously. The director glared at these subordinates and continued, I don't know the origin of the other party, but do you know which bank the other party's money was transferred from? Which bank? Not bank. Bank of the Bra Galaxy. Others named some of the more reputable banks in the galaxy. It's the Universe Galaxy Bank, the director shouted loudly. Hiss. In the cabin of the spaceship, there was a sound of gasping for cold air. They looked at the director in shock. Cosmic Galaxy Bank. That is a giant bank that serves the upper class and powerful warriors in the universe. You know, the threshold for opening an account at Universe Galaxy Bank is. The deposit is at least 100 million Black Dragon coins. 100 million Black Dragon coins, converted into silver blue coins, is more than 100 billion silver blue coins. The richest man on some ordinary planets has more than 100 billion silver and blue coins. Bai Langxing's wealth as the richest man is only more than 60 billion silver and blue coins. The customer they were going to receive this time turned out to be such a big customer. No wonder the director wanted to bring them here. It turned out to be like this. Now you know why I brought you here. The director looked at the group of subordinates and said, "Why are you so stupid? I am the wise one. We must not offend such a big customer. Of course, we must use the highest standards to greet them." Yes, yes. Director is wise. Understood, director, we will definitely make our guests extremely satisfied. For a time, the originally loose group of people became energetic as if they had been given a shot of blood. Beep. At this time, a voice sounded in the spacecraft. Director Bart, the guests have arrived. The communication will be transferred directly to the spacecraft, please pay attention to receive it. Okay, the fat-headed and big-eared director stood up with a serious look on his face. Director Bart of Bai Langxing, hello, I am Luo Feng. Immediately afterwards, Luo Feng's voice sounded in the spacecraft where Bart and the others were, it's the Luo Feng who talked to you in the virtual universe before. Bart smiled and said, hello, Mr. Luo. Welcome to Balan Planet. We are now outside the warehouse base you bought. As a guest who owns industry on this planet, you can fly directly to the warehouse base in a spaceship. No need to moor the ship at the docking port. Okay, we'll be there soon, Luo Feng said. Then the communication ends. Director Bart immediately looked at his subordinates around him and shouted, quick! Take action! Get off the spacecraft quickly and greet these two distinguished gentlemen. Yes, Director. A group of them hurriedly arranged their uniforms and filed out of the space to the open space of the warehouse base outside the spacecraft. Director Bart led his men in the ice and snow at more than 90 degrees below zero, looking at the sky and looking forward to it. Not long after, they suddenly saw a black shadow slowly descending from the sky. Coming. Is that a spaceship produced by the Black Dragon Mountain Empire? Pure black, isn't it the luxury model from the legendary Black Dragon Mountain X series that has been discontinued? Oh my god. The price of this luxury model is as high as 10 billion Black Dragon coins. 10 billion? Or Black Dragon coin? Many people were shocked and stared blankly at He Longshan X-81 slow landing. Laugh. The outer hatch opens. The 18 Bai Langxing personnel immediately stood up straight, with the most standard and enthusiastic smiles on their faces, and looked at the hatch eagerly. Call. Call. Uniform personnel flew out one after another. Under the surprised eyes of Director Bart and others, a total of 1,000 planet-level 9th-level spiritual masters flew out and stood in two lines at the hatch. This. Are they all 9th-level planetary spiritual masters? Bart and the others looked at the level displayed by the auxiliary optical brain, and they all looked stunned. Oh my god, there are so many planet-level 9th-level spiritual masters, they can already wipe out our entire Balan star. Some staff members exclaimed in their hearts, feeling a little scared. Immediately afterwards, another group of people flew out of the hatch of Black Dragon Mountain. First class stellar level, 1, 2, 3. Director Bart and the others saw their calves and hearts trembling when they saw so many star-level experts coming out. However, what frightened them even more? After these first-level star-level warriors came out, several more star-level warriors appeared, and their strength was at least the third-level star-level warriors. Director Bart felt his knees go weak. He looked at Luo Xia and Luo Feng, who flew out of the Black Dragon Mountain spaceship at the end, and his awe in his heart had reached an unprecedented level. "Who is Director Bart?" Luo Feng asked. "It's me." Director Bart hurried forward, with an extremely humble attitude. "I am Director Bart of the Balin Star Business Department. I welcome Mr. Luo Feng and Mr. Luo Xia to our Balin Star." With several star-level bodyguards and spiritualists, even the royal family of the Silver Blue Empire did not have such high treatment and appearance. At this time, Bart completely raised the status of Luo Xia and Luo Feng to a level higher than the Emperor of the Silver Blue Empire, and received them with great respect. "Mr. Luo Feng, Mr. Luo Xia, let me introduce the functions of these warehouse bases to you too." Bart bent over and walked into the warehouse base with Luo Feng and Luo Xia. "Director Bart, have all the goods we bought been put into the warehouse?" Rorschach asked. Bart nodded. "Yes, the goods that have arrived have been sent directly to the warehouse without being unpacked. You two gentlemen can check them at any time." Rorschach nodded. Luo Feng suddenly pointed to an area not far away and asked, "What is that place?" "Mr. Luo Feng, that is the residential area of the warehouse base. If the warehouse base wants to hire workers, they can be arranged to live in it. This residential area is a bit old. If you two gentlemen are not satisfied, you can tear it down and rebuild it." Director Bart introduced. Then, he used the auxiliary optical brain to project a building. "Mr. Luo Feng, Mr. Rorschach, you can choose any villa you need," Bart said enthusiastically. "The villas can be disassembled. As long as the various parts of the villa are transported to the destination, they can be assembled into a villa in a short time. Movable, detachable." Luo Feng and Rorschach looked at each other and nodded secretly. They can buy 1 or 2 sets of this thing. After all, after these slaves are brought to Earth, they also need to arrange a place for them to live. Apparently, this movable and detachable villa is perfect for this. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 135. Rorschach and the others stayed at Beilangzing for 5 days and only left after receiving all the goods. In order to ensure the safety of the second base, Taiwan Novel Network rightward arrow. Luo Feng left 1 stellar level 1st level warrior and 100 planet level 9th level mentalist stationed on Balin Star. Other slaves were brought to Earth by the 2 brothers. 8 hours after leaving Balin Star, Rorschach discovered that the spacecraft was circling, and couldn't help but ask Babada, "Babada, why is the spacecraft circling?" Babada explained, "We have now reached the dark universe area corresponding to the Earth, but the coordinates here have been covered by the Master's space secrets, so we need to follow a special trajectory to discover the real coordinates of the universe." "So that's it." Rorschach nodded. After a moment, he asked again, "Speaking of which, Babada, will there be a natural wormhole leading to the outside world in this area covered by the teacher?" Babada said, "This is possible. But you'd better pray not to appear, otherwise the Earth will not be as safe as it is now. If someone accidentally enters the void area through that kind of wormhole, the coordinates of the Earth will be exposed in the universe." Rorschach lowered his head slightly and thought. If he remembered correctly, the first adventurer team to invade the Earth in the original book accidentally came to the solar system through a natural wormhole. I wonder if those guys have arrived. If it arrives, the Earth will be in trouble. Although the space adventure team was not very strong, Rorschach vaguely remembered that the captain of that team had a family behind him. If that family sends a space fleet to the Earth's current strength will simply not be able to resist. "Babada, is it impossible for Earth's detection technology to detect spacecraft above sea level? Rorschach asked again. Bobita nodded, that's natural. Not to mention C-class, even a better A-class spacecraft, with the Earth's current satellite detection technology, it is impossible to find it. She looked at Rorschach curiously and asked, why are you asking this suddenly? Rorschach replied, I'm worried that the Earth will be discovered suddenly. After all, you also said that you cannot rule out the occurrence of natural wormholes in the void area. If someone really discovers the Earth through that natural wormhole, we have not. Isn't it bad to be on guard? Luo Feng said with a smile, Xiao Xia, are you worrying too much? The space coordinates of the Earth have been covered by the teacher's secret space method. Even when we come back, we have to go around very troublesomely. How can you say that? What a coincidence. Luo Xia looked at Luo Feng helplessly and said, brother, don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the unexpected. Hey, I didn't think of it at the time, otherwise we could buy some detectors and put them in the solar system. In this way, even if someone suddenly discovers, we can also be prepared for the Earth. Bobita looked at Rorschach, touched his smooth chin, and said, if you are really so worried, I have an idea. We can conduct defensive monitoring in space. What method? Rorschach looked at Bobita. Bobita smiled and pointed at the Helongshan X-81 spacecraft. This spacecraft has a cruise detection function. We can place it in the orbit of the Earth to conduct real-time monitoring and detection of outer space. As long as it is not D-level or above, spaceships can basically be detected. Having said this, Bobita spread his hands, but to maintain its cruise detection function, a lot of energy crystals will be consumed. Those energy crystals you bought, Rorschach, may consume part of it. No problem, just use it for consumption. Rorschach waved his hand and said to Bobita. Bobita looked at Luo Feng, we still have to arrange for some people to be stationed on the spacecraft. Luo Feng nodded and said, okay, I will ask those first-level star-level warriors to guard the spacecraft with 109th-level planet-level warriors. As for the remaining people, they can come back to Earth with us. Bobita smiled and said, that's no problem. When I return to Earth, I will set up the cruise of the spacecraft. While talking, the spacecraft has found the true coordinates of the Earth in the dark universe. In the starry sky of the solar system, strange ripples were seen in the space, and then, a dark flying saucer-shaped spacecraft suddenly appeared out of thin air. The space shuttle was successful. Bobita reminded. In the spaceship, Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at the familiar blue planet in their sights, feeling excited in their hearts, we're back. We're back. Although they had only been away for less than a month this time, both Luo Xia and Luo Feng felt as if they had been away from their hometown for a long time. Bobita, head for Earth. Luo Feng shouted. Yes. Bobita responded loudly, controlling the black spaceship to fly towards the blue planet. Soon after, Earth carries Hima. Brother, let's arrange the villa we purchased from Bai Langxing here first. Well, just put it here. Luo Feng nodded and began to give orders to the slaves to assemble the villa. More than an hour later, a villa covering an area of 2 square kilometers stood on Kiri's Hima. I have already set up the crews of the spacecraft. Luo Feng, who do you want to arrange for people to be stationed on the spacecraft? Bobita asked when Luo Xia and Luo Feng visited the villa. Luo Feng thought for a while and said to the slave following him, Meng Si, you bring 2 first-level star-level warriors, plus 100 planet-level 9th-level spiritual masters to guard the spacecraft. Yes, master, Meng Si stepped out to take orders, and then returned to the Black Dragon Mountain spaceship with the warriors Luo Feng pointed out. The spacecraft turns invisible and flies into space again. After a while, the spacecraft will be parked on the dark side of the moon. Next, the Helongshan spacecraft will follow the moon and orbit the Earth while detecting the starry sky around the Earth. Babata will receive detection data from the Black Dragon Mountain spacecraft in real time. Once an abnormality is discovered, she will immediately notify Luo Xia and Luo Feng. Mengwu, you are stationed on this island with the remaining star-level first-level warriors and the planet-level 9th-level spiritual masters. Luo Feng continued to make arrangements. As for Meng Yi, Meng Er, and Meng San, you will follow me and Xioxia back home. Yes, Master. Meng Yi and the others took the order. Luo Feng gave some more instructions, mainly asking Meng Wu and the others not to expose themselves. They can move freely in Kirishima and the surrounding areas, but they cannot emit too strong aura and be noticed by other people on the earth. After arranging all the slaves, Luo Feng and Luo Xia went home. It was already late at night. Although Luo Feng wanted to go home now, he was worried about disturbing the sleep of his two sons and Su Xian, so he followed Luo Xia back home. Luo Hongguo and Gong Xinlan were already asleep. Luo Xia and Luo Feng did not disturb them and quietly returned to Luo Xia's room. As for Meng Yi and the others, Luo Feng arranged for them to be on guard around the villa. Anyway, with their current state, it would be fine even if they didn't sleep. Snap! Rorschach turned on the light in the room, and everything in the room was no different from before he left. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, what are you going to do with those purple dew? Babata appeared and asked Luo Feng and Luo Xia. Luo Xia looked at his eldest brother Luo Feng. It's up to the elder brother to make the decision. Luo Feng pondered slightly and said, let's discuss it with Hong and Lei Shen tomorrow. Hearing this, Luo Xia nodded. Because we did not experience the disaster of the golden horned giant beast, the earth still maintains its previous pattern. Hong and Thor are still the first and second people on earth. Luo Xia and Luo Feng didn't say much. They took a bath and went to sleep. During these days in the universe, don't look at the calm on their faces. But I felt quite uneasy. Now that I'm back home, I can finally relax completely. Early the next morning, Rorschach's super hearing ability allowed him to hear his parents' conversation. Last night, I seemed to hear something moving in Xioxia's room. Could it be that he and Xiaofeng were back? This is the voice of Mother Gong Xinlan. Then his father Luo Hongguo's voice sounded, did you really hear the noise? Why didn't I hear it? You are so fast asleep that you can hear a ghost. Gong Xinlan rolled her eyes at her husband. Luo Hongguo didn't care what his mother-in-law said and said, then I'll go to Xioxia's room and have a look. Not long after, Rorschach heard the sound of his door being opened. Xiaoxia, Luo Hongguo looked happy when he saw his youngest son and eldest son lying on the bed, and Xiaofeng, you are back. Did you come back last night? Dad. Luo Feng responded, got up and got dressed, and said with a smile, I came back last night, but because it was too late, I didn't tell you. Originally, his room was reserved for him, with a bed and everything. But he found it troublesome and had to make the bed again in the past, so he slept with Rorschach. Anyway, Rorschach's bed is very big, so it won't be crowded if the two brothers sleep together. When did you get home last night? Luo Hongguo asked with a smile as he watched the two brothers get up. Rorschach said, about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Luo Hongguo smiled and said, your mother is a light sleeper. She said she vaguely heard the movement in your room last night. I thought she was hallucinating, but I didn't expect you guys to be back. Luo Feng and Luo Xia smiled. The two brothers followed their old father downstairs. When their mother Gong Xinlan saw it, she felt happy again. She called Su Xian directly and asked her to bring her two grandsons over for breakfast and not let Luo Feng go back to have breakfast again. Dad. Third uncle. Soon after, Su Xian came with Luo Ping and Luo Hai. As soon as the two little guys entered the door, they ran towards Luo Feng, calling each other for their father. Then Luo Hai let Luo Xia hold him and asked with a smile, Uncle Third, where have you and my father been? I miss you so much. Do you miss me and your dad, or do you miss my gift? Rorschach asked with a smile. Ludo Hai chuckled, I want it all. Here, this is the gift I brought back for you, take it and play with it. When Ludo Xia and Ludo Feng were shopping, they naturally did not forget about their families. They both bought some special gifts from the Qiu Long Star and brought them back to their families. Ludo Xia bought Ludo Ping and Ludo Hai each a model of a spaceship. Is this a spaceship? Ludo Hai looked overjoyed and cheered as he took the spaceship model half as big as him from Ludo Xia's hands and kissed Ludo Xia on the face. Thank you, uncle. Go play with your brother. Ludo Xia put the impatient Ludo Hai on the ground, patted his little head, and then said to Ludo Hongguo and others on the side, by the way, Dad, Mom, I want to introduce someone to you. Who? Ludo Hongguo and Gong Xinlin looked puzzled. Rorschach used his soul seal to send a message to Melissa. Melissa, come in. Yes, master. Melissa responded and walked into the villa. This is. Gong Xinlin looked at Melissa, who walked in surprise, especially the three tails swinging behind her. She looked very surprised. Su Xian was also looking at Melissa in surprise. Wow! This ant has a tail. Ludo Hai suddenly exclaimed and looked up at Melissa in surprise. Dad, Mom, her name is Melissa. She is my hired bodyguard. She will live in our house and be responsible for protecting your safety. Rorschach said with a smile. Is it a bodyguard? Gong Xinlin said with some disappointment. Ludo Hongguo asked in surprise, Xiao Xia, where did you find the bodyguard? Why do you have fox ears and a tail? Rorschach smiled and said, you probably want to ask where my eldest brother and I went before. Let me tell you now, in fact, my eldest brother and I went to an alien planet before. Hired from the planet of the Horned Dragon. Ah, an alien planet. Ludo Hongguo and the others looked at Ludo Xia and Ludo Feng in surprise. Su Xian stared at Ludo Feng, did you and Xioxia really go to an alien planet? Yeah, Ludo Feng nodded. Su Xian said, why don't you tell me directly? Ludo Feng scratched his head, isn't this because I'm afraid you will worry? If you don't tell us, won't we worry? Su Xian stared, tears gathering in his eyes. Ludo Feng panicked all of a sudden, honey, I was wrong, You two damn kids. You ran off to an alien planet without saying a word. Her mother, Gong Xinlin, found a stick from nowhere, which looked like it was taken from a broom, and hit Ludo Xia with it. What should you do if you encounter danger on an alien planet? What if something happens to you? What will we, the elders at home, and the two younger ones, and your sister-in-law and the others do? We thought you were performing some mission on Earth, didn't you? I thought I was on an alien planet. Mom. I was wrong. Oh, please stop fighting. Rorschach was beaten so hard that he ran away with his head in his arms. Melissa watched the scene in front of her quietly. She didn't know why Rorschach, a 4th-level astral-level spiritual master, was beaten up and run around in the living room by an old woman who had just reached the 1st-level apprenticeship. However, this scene, for some reason, reminded her of the time when her mother was still alive. Of course Melissa doesn't understand Earth's language. But in her auxiliary light brain, there was a translator installed for her by Babada, so she could understand what Ludo Xia and Gong Xinlin were saying. The scene that happened now gave Melissa a better understanding of Rorschach as her master. Ludo Hongguo's eyes twitched as he watched Gong Xinlin spank Ludo Xia's butt a few times. With this strength, can it hurt him? Okay. Stop fighting. Ludo Hongguo persuaded Gong Xinlin, the children have grown up, and the eldest brother has become a father. Why are you beating them? They have their own ideas when they go to alien planets. As parents, we just need to support them. Don't give them anything. Add to the chaos. Gong Xinlin wiped her tears, of course I know I have to support them. But isn't this worrying? That's an alien planet. If something happens to them, we don't know even if we want to know. Luoxia stepped forward and hugged her mother's shoulders, comforting her. Mom, aren't my eldest brother and I okay? And we didn't just go there in a hurry. We made all kinds of preparations before going. After some comfort, Gong Xinlan and the others calmed down. Gong Xinlan once again looked at the beauty of the spirit fox tribe who was standing quietly, and asked, "So this girl is an alien? She looks almost like us Earthlings, except that she has 3 extra tails and different ears. She is very beautiful." She refused to recognize her, went up and took Melissa's hand and asked with a smile, "Girl, can you speak the language of our Earth?" Melissa said in the universal language of the universe, "I'm sorry, old mistress, I don't speak the language of the Earth yet." This sentence is translated through the auxiliary optical brain. Luo Hongguo and Su Xian were stunned for a moment. Gong Xinlan was also stunned by the shouting. After a while, she smiled and said, "Old mistress? Oh, you call me like an old lady from a landlord's house in the old society. Girl, we don't do this anymore in this era, so just call me aunt." Luo Xia and Luo Feng listened and couldn't laugh or cry. In fact, Melissa's real age is older than Gong Xinlan. However, each star level has one epoch, which is the lifespan of the Earth of 10,081 years, so Melissa looks younger than Gong Xinlan. "Auntie," Melissa tried to shout in Chinese. As a mentalist who is good at illusions, Melissa is a quick learner. Gong Xinlan felt very comfortable when she was called auntie. She smiled and said, yes, that's how you call me. From now on, you can just call me auntie in our house." Seeing Gong Xinlan smiling happily, Melissa also smiled. "Oh, the little girl has such a beautiful smile," Gong Xinlan couldn't help but praise her again. Luo Feng and Luo Xia. "Little girl? Over there," Su Xian asked Luo Feng in a low voice, "I just heard Luo Xia say them. Could it be that Melissa is not the only bodyguard you hired?" Luo Feng nodded, "There are others, I asked them to hide around the villa." Su Xian narrowed her eyes, "Are they all foreign beauties like Melissa?" Luo Feng shook his head quickly, "Of course not. Most of them are men." After the turmoil caused by Melissa ended, Luo Xia and Luo Feng had the opportunity to contact Hong and Lei Shen. "Hello, Luo Xia, you called me, what's the matter?" After the call was connected, Hong asked with a smile. Luo Xia glanced at the big brother next to him and asked Hong, "Master, are you at the headquarters now?" "Ah, yes," Hong responded, "what's wrong?" "My big brother and I have something to talk to you about, and we need to talk to you in person," Luo Xia said. "Of course, if Lei Shen is here, it would be even better." Hong on the other side narrowed his eyes slightly, "Is it something important?" "I understand, I will inform Lei Shen, you and your big brother can just come to the headquarters directly, I'll wait for you here." After hanging up the phone, Luo Xia nodded to Luo Feng. "Let's go," Luo Feng said, and flew to the sky. Rorschach followed. The two brothers did not take Melissa and the others with them, but let them stay at home. Anyway, there was no one on Earth who could threaten them, so there was no need to take Melissa and the others with them. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 136. Outside the Extreme Martial Arts School headquarters, Luo Xia and Luo Feng's intelligent fighter plane slowly landed. "Inspector Luo. Little Inspector Luo." After the two brothers got off the plane, they would salute the headquarters guards they met respectfully. Luo Xia and Luo Feng walked into the headquarters quickly. "The owner is waiting for you too." "Monsieur Reo." Luo Xia was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Yaireo would come to greet them. Yaireo, wearing a golden mask, smiled, made a gesture of invitation, and then led the way in front, bringing Luoxia and Luofeng to a reception room. "The owner is inside, you go in," Yaireo said. Then she twisted her hips and left. Luofeng stepped forward and rang the doorbell. "Is it Luofeng and Luoxia?" Hong's voice came, "Come in." The door opened, and Luoxia and Luofeng walked in. There were only cushions in the reception room. Hong and Lei Shen had been sitting inside waiting for the two for a while. Thor saw Luoxia and Luofeng and laughed. "Brother Hong told me that you two have something important to say, so I rushed over." "What is it?" "Sit down first, we can talk slowly." Hong pointed to the cushion and said to Luofeng and Luoxia with a smile. The two brothers nodded and sat down on the cushion. After Luofeng pondered his thoughts and words in his heart, he looked at Hong and Thor and said, "Master, Thor, I came to you this time mainly to talk about the universe." "The universe?" Thor looked at Hong in surprise. Hong showed a thoughtful expression, looking at Luofeng and Luoxia and said, "It seems that my guess is right, you two brothers have also inherited some alien civilization. The things about the universe you mentioned, have you been to the universe?" Luofeng was slightly surprised when he heard Hong's words, then nodded and continued, "Well, more than a month ago, Xiao Xia and I went to an alien planet. It was a planet 320,000 light-years away from the Earth, called Kai-Along Star." Thor shouted, "Wait, you two went to an alien planet 320,000 light-years away from the Earth? How did you get there?" He looked at Luoxia and Luofeng in surprise. Luofeng said, "My brother and I got an intelligent life aid because of the inheritance left on Earth by an alien warrior. Then more than a year ago, Xiao Xia went to ruins number 12 and found a well-preserved spaceship inside. We relied on the intelligent life aid to repair the spaceship and were able to travel through the universe. Then, just a month ago, we left Earth and went to Kai-Along Star." Thor nodded in realization, "So that's how it is. Speaking of which, Brother Hong also has an intelligent life aid. Now you all have it, but I don't." Hong glanced at Thor, then looked at Luoxia and said, "Did you actually go to ruins number 12? Thor and I have been to that place. The spaceship you are talking about should be the flying saucer-shaped spaceship parked in the secret cabin, right?" "Yes," owner Luoxia nodded. Hong said, "Before, Thor and I also entered the flying saucer-shaped spaceship and wanted to drive it back, but its gate was too heavy. Thor and I couldn't lift it together, so we had to give up in the end. I didn't expect you to be able to get in. You are really amazing." Rorschach smiled and said, "Thanks to Babada." In the wristband, Babada snorted proudly. "Babada," Thor was stunned for a moment, then reacted, "Is it the name of that intelligent life?" Rorschach nodded. Hong looked at Luofeng at this time and asked, "What did you see on Kai-Along Star?" Luofeng began to talk about what he saw and experienced on Kai-Along Star. Except for the information about teacher Hu Yanbo, they talked about Gao Sheng, the girl of the Menbei tribe, the slave trader, the Ganu Dojo, etc. In one breath, from beginning to end. Hong and Thor were completely stunned. They also got some information and inheritance from alien civilizations. For example, Hong had an intelligent assistant, and the two knew some things in the universe. But everything Luofeng said now made the two have a deeper understanding of the darkness and cruelty of the universe. In the vast universe, only planetary level can officially become citizens. Star level can only be regarded as elites and can serve as bodyguards for others. But they never expected that even the strong ones like the universe level would become slaves. This is really terrible. "Did you buy some slaves from Kai-Along Star?" Hong asked. Luofeng nodded, "Well, I bought 7-star level spiritualists above level 3. Then the slave trader gave 10-star level first level warriors and 1,000 planetary level 9th level spiritualists. Hong and Lei Shen were sweating profusely after hearing this. These slaves of Luo Xia and Luo Feng can completely wipe out the entire earth. Lei Shen couldn't help asking, "Do you have any ideas about ruling the earth?" Luo Feng and Luo Xia heard this and showed a helpless expression. Hong smiled and said, "Why are you asking them this question? If they wanted to rule the earth, would they come here to tell us this? It would be much easier to just flatten it and then kill us." Thor scratched his head. 17 powerful people above the star level suddenly appeared on the earth, and they are slaves of the two brothers. Isn't this a bit panicking? Hong shook his head, looked at Luo Feng again, and asked, "Did you just say that you bought 10,000 consciousness sensing helmets and 100,000 tons of purple light dew on the Horned Dragon planet?" Yes, Luo Feng nodded. "Xioxia and I are going to distribute these to the whole world. Our Earth, in the vast universe, is like dust. It is too inconspicuous and too weak. If it is suddenly exposed to the universe, the Earth may face terrible consequences." "Crisis," he said seriously. "These consciousness induction helmets and purple light dew can greatly enhance the strength of the world and accelerate the evolution of humans on Earth. Only when the entire race rises can our Earth survive in this cold and dark universe." After hearing this, Hong looked at Luo Feng and Luo Xia with relief and said, "You two brothers are really very enlightened. If you are more selfish, you won't think about the ethnic group or the Earth at all." He pondered slightly and said, "Well, you two brothers don't go back for the next 2 days. Let's discuss here how to distribute these consciousness sensing helmets and purple light dew. If we want to distribute these things, we must explain your brother's experiences in the universe." He sighed. "Thor God and I have always felt that humans may not be ready to face the universe, but according to you, if humans don't make great strides forward and continue to progress slowly as they are now, when disaster strikes, we humans on Earth may really be doomed." Luo Feng and Luo Xia both nodded. In the next few days, they were all here at the global headquarters of Extreme Martial Arts, discussing with Hong and Lei Shen the distribution of purple light dew and consciousness sensing helmets. "In 3 days, we will convene high-level officials from all countries and base cities around the world to come to the global headquarters of Extreme Martial Arts for a meeting." Hong said, "The purple light dew will be distributed once every 10 years according to the distribution plan we have negotiated, with 10,000 tons at a time. As for how they distribute the purple light dew after they obtain it, we don't have to worry about it in such detail. As for the consciousness sensing helmets, they will be distributed by themselves. But there is one condition, that is, all those who receive the consciousness sensing helmets must fully disclose and share the information and technology they have obtained from the virtual universe. By the way, there are also those slaves of yours. Although you were bought to protect the Earth, I don't think they can be made public. The meeting we are going to hold next is to show the cruelty and true face of the universe to the world. If they know that there are powerful guards to protect them and there is no sense of crisis, their efficiency will be very low. Only when everyone feels in danger will they find ways to increase the number of warriors and speed up the evolution of mankind." After Hong finished speaking, Lei Shen nodded, "I agree." Luo Feng and Luo Xia looked at each other and nodded, indicating that they had no objection. Hong smiled and said, "In that case, I will start contacting the leaders of major organizations and major base cities and ask them to attend the meeting in 3 days. At that time, I will trouble you, Luo Feng, to go up and explain." "No problem," Master Luo Feng agreed. 3 days passed quickly. On this day, the autumn air is crisp and the weather is excellent. Today, the global headquarters of Extreme Martial Arts has become the center of the entire Earth. Fighter planes fly from all over the world to the headquarters parking airport and land here. One by one, the leaders walked out of the plane and, under the guidance of the reception staff at the headquarters, headed to a large conference room in the interstellar transport ship. At 9 a.m., the meeting officially started. Everyone looked at the center of the circular conference room with serious expressions. 3 days ago, they received a call from Hong, saying that an important meeting on human evolution was going to be held today, and they hoped that all of them could come and participate. So each leader changed his schedule and working hours, and came to the global headquarters of extreme martial arts on this day. Snap! The lights in the conference room suddenly dimmed. Immediately afterwards, in the center of the conference room, a three-dimensional virtual projection appeared, which was a projection of a vast starry sky. Hong nodded to Luo Feng. So Luo Feng stood up, walked slowly to the center of the conference room, looked around, and said seriously, "Everyone, I, Luo Feng, will narrate today's meeting." "It's Counselor Luo Feng." "Is it actually Counselor Luo Feng who went up to tell the story?" Hong said today's meeting is about human evolution, so what is the content of the meeting? Some people started talking in low voices. Luo Feng waited for them to discuss for a while, then pointed to the virtual projection next to him and said, "What I want to say is that today's meeting will not be less important than the Great Nirvana." Wow! As soon as these words came out, everyone was surprised again. For humans on Earth, the Great Nirvana is an important turning point for life and civilization on Earth. It is a historical moment on the same level as the Industrial Revolution. Is today's meeting of such a standard? Everyone, please look at the projection, the Earth, the Moon, the Solar System. I don't need to go into too much detail on this. Everyone should have more or less knowledge of the relevant aspects. But what about outside the solar system? The projection changed following Luo Feng's words. Images of the Earth, the Moon, the solar system, flashed one by one, and then the screen stopped on the vast image of the Milky Way. In the past, like you, I was full of unknowns and imaginations about the universe outside the solar system. Until not long ago, I went to an alien planet. Please see, this planet is called Balin Star, which is the planet I have been to. An alien planet. Pictures and videos of Bai Langxing appeared on the projection. Everyone in the conference room stared at the pictures and videos on the projection, showing expressions of extreme surprise. Is this really a scene from an alien planet? Some people were a little suspicious, but they felt that Luo Feng would not lie on this important occasion. After all, what good would it do Luo Feng to lie here? Balin Star is very close to our Earth, just 18 light-years away. Like us, it is located in the Milky Way. The Milky Way, Beta Galaxy, and other 8 major galaxies are all ruled by an elementary civilization in the universe called the Silver Blue Empire. Following Luo Feng's words, the projection projected the territory of the Silver Blue Empire. This is naturally provided by Babata. Everyone was shocked. An empire that ruled 8 major galaxies? How powerful this is! Some people started talking in low voices. Luo Feng ignored them and continued, "You may think that the Silver and Blue Empire that rules 8 galaxies is very powerful. But the fact is that this country is the weakest existence in the entire cosmic civilization. Don't forget, I said it's the primary civilized country in the universe. How is that possible? The empires that rule the 8 galaxies are all the weakest existences? Is it true or false? That's 8 galaxies. There are so many living planets in one galaxy. How can such a huge empire be the weakest in the universe?" Everyone started talking loudly in surprise. The information they received really shocked them. There are elementary civilized countries in the universe, and naturally there are intermediate and advanced ones. The Silver Blue Empire is indeed the weakest cosmic country in the universe. Luo Feng said. He pointed at the projection, and saw that the picture on the projection began to change into the image of the horned dragon star. Last time I went out, in addition to going to Balin Star, I also arrived at this planet called Kaialong Planet, which belongs to the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. This Black Dragon Mountain Empire is a medium-sized civilization in the universe. Can you guess how many galaxies there are in its territory? 10. 15. 20. People were guessing, but as they shouted out the numbers, Luo Feng shook his head. Finally, he sighed and said, "The territory of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire is more than 8,000 galaxies." Hiss. There were gasps in the conference room. Everyone looked at Luo Feng in shock, and someone asked in disbelief, "Congressman Luo Feng, does the Black Dragon Mountain Empire really control more than 8,000 galaxies?" Yes, Luo Feng nodded and continued to popularize science. Qiulong is a subordinate planet of such a powerful cosmic kingdom. Do you know what I saw on this planet? Powerful technology? Yes, of course there are. They have technology that far exceeds that of Earth. He saw the faces of many people getting excited. "Ha, you are thinking at this moment that if we can establish contact with the Horned Dragon, we may be able to purchase those technologies from the Horned Dragon to increase the strength of our Earth." Some nodded. If the technology of alien civilizations can be studied, they believe that the Earth's technological level will definitely increase significantly, and then it will enter the interstellar era in one fell swoop. But Luo Feng shook his head and said with a heavy face, "Let me introduce a race to everyone." Following his words, the projection appeared on the home planet of the Black Meng tribe. On this planet, there is a group called the Black Meng tribe. They look very similar to us humans, but they are stronger than us. They have many planet-level warriors and spiritual masters, counting them in millions. They also have stellar-level experts. Everyone here probably knows how the levels of powerful people in the universe are divided. The counselors on our planet are planet-level people. Are there more than 100 planet-level powerhouses on our Earth now? Everyone shook their heads, feeling suffocated in their hearts. There are millions of powerful members of the Congress-level Black Mongolian tribe. This is so powerful. Star-level powerhouses can basically sweep across our Earth and bring us the crisis of extinction. There are also a lot of star-level powerhouses from the Black Mongolian tribe, and there are many Black Mongolian tribes, all of which have reached level 5 or 6. Above. Luo Feng looked around the conference room and saw the envious looks of many people. He knew that many people must be thinking in their hearts, when will the Earth reach the level of the Black Meng clan, and there will be so many planet-level and star-level powerhouses. However, the fate of the Hmong people is sad. The Black Meng are such a powerful race, but they are an enslaved race in the universe. Luo Feng shouted loudly. Following his words, the projection showed the scene that Luo Xia and Luo Feng saw at the slave market. In the picture, each strong person is displayed like a commodity, free for anyone to choose and unable to resist. Everyone was stunned and stared blankly at the picture on the projection. Luo Feng continued, "Countless people of the Black Meng tribe are slaves. Their planet is conquered and ruled by others. As long as their children are born, they will be implanted with biochips and become controlled slaves. Children and grandchildren, generation after generation. Another generation has been unable to turn over. Is this true? Such a powerful race is actually a slave. No, how could it be? This is too cruel." Someone shouted out in disbelief, venting the depression and despair in his heart. If even a powerful race like the Black Mongols are slaves, then how can the human beings on Earth survive in this universe? Many people broke out in cold sweats. A woman stood up, stared at Luo Feng, and asked, "Senator Luo Feng, did you really go to this so-called Kilong star?" Because the facts Luo Feng said were too horrifying, they really couldn't believe it and began to question whether what Luo Feng said was true. Luo Feng smiled and suddenly shouted to the people at the door, "Bring the things up." Immediately, a staff member brought up a black helmet. Consciousness sensing helmet. Everyone looked at the helmet with doubts. At this time, Hong walked to Luo Feng's side and said to everyone, "This is the consciousness sensing helmet that Luo Feng and Luo Xia bought from that Kilong star. It is the original helmet in the universe. You can send someone to use it to enter the virtual universe, and you will know whether what Luo Feng said today is true. Wow! For a moment, the entire venue shook again. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 137. People at the venue looked at the consciousness sensing helmet and looked a little excited. The virtual universe is really a very suitable platform for contact with the Earth. Because for the current Earth, the virtual universe is really a very safe platform for contacting the universe. As for the rest, such as traveling to other planets, currently, only Luo Feng and Luo Xia can do this. Although they can also take others out, they are all black people in the universe and it is really unsafe. Congressman Luo Feng, how many helmets are there? One leader asked excitedly. I can provide 10,000 for the whole world. As for how to arrange it, you can go down and negotiate on your own, Luo Feng said. Another leader also said excitedly at this time. Mr. Luo, you are right. The significance of this to the Earth is no less than the great nirvana. Entering the virtual universe is the first and crucial step for us Earthlings to contact the universe. Since Luo Feng could take out the consciousness sensing helmet with confidence, they don't have to doubt anything. After all, the facts are right in front of us. If Luo Feng cheats and deceives everyone, what's the point? Luo Feng looked at the many excited participants, smiled and said, don't be anxious to be happy, I have more important things to say. Hearing this, everyone's expressions became solemn. Don't be anxious and happy. Could it be that the Earth is being targeted by some civilization or powerful person in the universe? Seeing that the atmosphere had become serious again, Luo Feng shook his head and said directly without being shy. In addition to the consciousness sensing helmet, I can also provide you with a potion called Purple Light Dew. As long as you take 10 grams of this potion, a senior martial arts student can evolve into a warrior. Everyone was stunned for a moment, and then asked doubtfully, is it such an important thing with just such a small effect? It can't be compared to the importance of a consciousness sensing helmet. This Purple Light Dew is not considered a treasure, right? There are potions on Earth that are better than Purple Light Dew, such as evolution agents, spirit of plants and trees, but these things are very rare, and only a few people can use them. This means nothing to the evolution of the entire planet. Luo Feng smiled and continued, I have a large batch. Everyone was stunned, a large batch. Mr. Luo, how big a batch do you have? How many people can it use? Asked a black man. Worldwide. Luo Feng spread his hands and said, I can supply high-level students from all martial arts schools around the world. As long as a high-level student is born on the Earth, I will have Purple Light Dew for him to take and let him become a warrior. All in the world. Supply to the world. God. This. Everyone was surprised and looked at Luo Feng in disbelief. Everyone started to count. The ratio between the total population and the high-level martial arts students is about 100:1. Today there are nearly 7 billion people on the Earth, so in the future, we can have nearly 70 million martial artists. 70 million? You can't look at it that way. Some people think that there is no hope of becoming a warrior and give up halfway. If they know that they can break through and become a warrior as long as they become advanced students, they will definitely work harder. So what Senator Luo Feng said is true. I estimate that in more than a month, we can add more than 80 million warriors to the Earth. The more warriors there are, the faster the genetic evolution of us people on Earth will be. This is tens of millions of times faster than the evolutionary model we originally estimated. Everyone in the conference room was extremely excited and ecstatic. Luo Feng continued, 10 grams per person, 1 kilogram equals 100 people, and 1 meal of Purple Light Dew can supply 100,000 people. Later, I will provide nearly 7,000 tons of Purple Light Dew according to 1/10 of the population of each country. 7,000 tons. Everyone's eyes lit up, as if they all saw the great evolution of human beings on Earth. Soon after, purple light dew began to be used on a trial basis across the planet. At the same time, in the solar system, a flying saucer-shaped silver-gray spacecraft has approached the Earth. What a beautiful planet, so blue and so beautiful. Inside the spacecraft control room, the captain looked at the blue planet in front of him with a smile on his face, and the crew members next to him were already cheering. This is a living planet without an owner. As long as they sell it, they won't have to risk wandering around the universe for the next 10 years. While these crew members were cheering, the invisible Helongshan spacecraft on the dark side of the moon had detected the arrival of the silver-gray spacecraft. Meng Si, who was stationed in the spaceship, looked solemn and immediately ordered, "Hurry and notify Miss Babata. A C-class space adventure spacecraft has broken into the outer space of the Earth." Yes. Therefore, the news of the arrival of the silver-gray spaceship was immediately informed to Babata. At this time, Babata was playing in the virtual universe. When he suddenly received this news, he was shocked. He quit the game directly, returned to reality, and shouted to Rorschach. "It's not good. Rorschach. It's not good." Rorschach is currently practicing in the gravity chamber, swallowing energy crystals, and hatching the clone of the golden horned giant beast in the cave world. Hearing Babata's shout, he was stunned for a moment and asked quickly, "What's wrong? You are right to worry. The Earth has really been discovered. Meng Si and his team just sent me a message that a Class C space adventure spaceship has entered the solar system. They are approaching the Earth." Babata spoke quickly. Rorschach frowned and said, "Ask Meng Si and his team how long it will take for this spaceship to reach the Earth." Babata's eyes flashed, and then he replied, "Meng Si said that at the speed of this spaceship, they can reach the Earth's gravitational orbit in as fast as 10 minutes. Meng Si asked me to ask you and Luo Feng what to do now. Do you need them to intercept?" Luo Feng narrowed his eyes and said, "No. Let this spaceship in, I want to capture them alive. Let Meng Si and his team continue to lurk, don't act rashly." Understood. Hearing this, Babata quickly notified Meng Si and his team who were invisible on the dark side of the moon. Luo Xia continued, "Babata, inform my eldest brother and ask him to go to Kirishima and take all the slaves stationed there. When the spaceship enters the Earth, we will capture it immediately." "Okay." Babata immediately sent a video call to Luo Feng and passed on all the news he received. Luo Feng was playing with his two children at home at this time. When he suddenly received the news from Babata, he was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He asked Su Xian to take care of the children, and he directly put on the Moyanteng armor and flew to Kirishima. "Babata, let Meng Si and others report the location and direction of the spaceship in real time." Luo Xia also put on the armor. While instructing Babata, he left home. "Melissa, you stay at home to protect my parents." "Yes, master." Under Melissa's gaze, Luo Xia soared into the sky and also flew towards Kirishima. Babata followed Luo Xia, receiving the information from Black Dragon Mountain in real time and reporting it to Luo Xia. At present, the silver-gray spaceship has entered the Earth's gravitational orbit. They did not stay in the gravitational orbit, but directly entered the atmosphere and are currently parked in the Atlantic Ocean, 139,907, -71. Rorschach heard this and turned directly, flying towards the coordinates mentioned by Babata, and then said, "Babata, send the coordinates to my brother and let him take people there." "Okay." Babata nodded and passed the coordinates of the invading spaceship to Luo Feng, and then continued, "Meng Si said that the spaceship stopped after arriving in the Atlantic Ocean, and there is no movement at present." Rorschach smiled and said, "They should be collecting information about the Earth. We must capture them alive before they act." At the same time, above the dark and boundless sea, the silver-gray spaceship quietly suspended. In the control room, a group of space adventurers were excitedly discussing how to deal with this blue planet. Suddenly, the head of the spacecraft intelligence appeared on the screen of the console, and she said, "According to the detection, this planet is close to spherical, with a radius of nearly 6,400 kilometers and a surface area of 510 million square kilometers, of which," she said various data about the Earth. The captain listened with a smile on his face. After Atuka finished speaking, he looked at the crew who were already very excited and said calmly, "Everyone, it's almost time for us to collect the fruits of victory." He swept his eyes with a hint of madness over the crew, and continued in a low voice. "However, the more times like this, the more we can't take it lightly. After all, this is we know almost nothing about a planet that was once ruled by an invincible strongman." The 8 crew members held their breath, looked at the captain, and put away their excitement. "We must be cautious when we discover an ownerless planet. Maybe there are some peerless strongmen on this indigenous planet," the captain said. He was not trying to scare the crew. Because the ship capsized in the gutter, it happened to many space adventure teams. Some space adventure teams accidentally discovered a certain indigenous planet, but were killed by the strongmen of the indigenous planet because of carelessness. "Understood, Captain." "Captain, don't worry. We are excited, but we won't be careless. We have experienced life and death crises more than once or twice, and we know what to do, Captain," the crew assured the captain one after another. The captain was full. He nodded in agreement. Everything should be done with absolute caution and safety. If there is no one stronger than us on this planet, we can get the maximum profit. If there is a strong person on this planet, then we have 2 ways. One is to notify the slave traders. The other is to notify my family," the captain said solemnly. "It is very common in the history of the universe to encounter strong people on indigenous planets. The mission of adventurers is to discover the planet. There is no need to fight hard. Of course, if it is just to discover the planet, the profit will not be great. The captain and his team are still looking forward to the fact that there are no strong people on this planet. Atuka, start to detect this planet in all directions and obtain the information of this planet as quickly as possible. Captain, this planet has an information network." The intelligence on the console was a little excited. "I can invade the network and quickly obtain a lot of information on this planet." "Very good." The captain's eyes became brighter. "There is an information network." The crew members also laughed in surprise. Usually, the indigenous planets discovered by space adventurers are mostly backward. Many are still in the early days of the Industrial Revolution. I didn't expect that this planet has developed an information network. Invade quickly and learn about this planet from all aspects, including economy, religion, strong people, military, and technology," the captain ordered. "The most important thing is the information of the strong. Prioritize the information of the strong." "Yes, Captain." Atuka responded quickly, and then easily and quickly invaded the Earth's network. Rorschach, the invader's spacecraft intelligence has begun to invade the Earth's network. At this time, Rorschach, who had dived into the Atlantic Ocean, was quietly floating in the quiet and dark sea water. Above him was the silver-gray spacecraft. Babata had been monitoring the global network. At this time, the spacecraft's intelligence Atuka began to invade, and she immediately noticed it. "Let it invade," Luoxia said coldly, and then asked, "Are my eldest brother and his team coming soon?" In order not to attract the attention of the invaders, Luo Feng and his team deliberately chose to come from the bottom of the sea. "It will take 1 minute to reach our location." "Okay." Luoxia nodded and said to Babata, "Can you find a way to monitor their conversation?" Babata shook his head. "No, the other party's spaceship is not very intelligent, but I want to invade and monitor their conversation without being discovered, which is impossible." "Is that so? Then we can only wait until they are captured alive and then interrogate them." Rorschach said. On the spaceship of the space adventurers, Atuka is doing her best to collect information about the Earth. Except for some secret information stored in physical storage and disconnected from the network that she has not collected, all other information that can be found on the internet has been discovered by Atuka. However, no one on the entire Earth can detect this except Babata and Laosia. This is the crushing of the Earth by alien technology. If the Earth had not been protected by Teacher Hu Yanbo's space secrets, it might have become a slave planet of aliens a long, long time ago. Captain, the data has been collected? Atuka shouted. The captain and the crew were all a little excited when they heard this. The captain nodded and said, "Speak quickly." Yes, Atuka began to introduce. When collecting data on the Earth, she translated all the data into the universal language of the universe. This planet is called Earth by the natives of the planet. There are nearly 7 billion humans on Earth, of which the number of apprentices is close to 1 million. The number of planetary levels is close to less than 100, and the number of stellar levels is 0. There was silence in the spaceship. The captain and the crew were a little stunned. After a while, the captain laughed. The other crew members laughed too. Ha ha ha. There aren't even any star-level warriors or spiritualists. Captain, we've got it. We've got it. There are less than 100 planet-level warriors. This planet is too weak, our team can easily conquer it. Their team of space adventurers is not that strong. But including the captain, they also have 3-star-level warriors. With only 3-star-level warriors, they can completely conquer this weak planet that doesn't even have a star-level warrior. Atuka waited until everyone finished laughing before continuing, "Captain, there are more detailed information that you must read." The captain had completely relaxed at this time, and he asked with a smile, "What information?" "There are 2 very famous strong men on Earth. They are called Hong and Lei Shen." Atuka said. The captain raised his eyebrows and asked, "Oh, how strong are these 2 people?" Atuka showed the information of Hong and Lei Shen. These 2 people are both planetary level strength. Hong is planetary level 7, and Lei Shen is planetary level 9. And according to the information, Hong has a domain. Domain. The captain and the crew were surprised. "How can a planetary level person have a domain?" a crew member exclaimed. "How is this possible? People who have a domain are basically invincible in the same realm. In the universe, even cosmic level strongmen do not necessarily have a domain. But on this weak planet, there is actually a planetary level person who has a domain, which is too surprising." After being slightly surprised, the captain laughed and said, "Even if Hong has a domain, it is not a big deal." The other crew members nodded after hearing this. Indeed. A planetary level person with a domain is only invincible at the planetary level. But they have 3-star level strongmen, and any star level strongmen can crush Hong. Atuka, are these the only 2 people on this planet with the strongest combat power? The captain asked the spacecraft intelligence. Atuka nodded and replied, "Captain, the information that can be collected on the information network shows that Hong and Lei Shen are the 2 most powerful people on this planet." The captain's mouth curled up a smile. "Only 2 less than stellar level strongmen? That's too weak." Atuka, go on, how about the military strength of this planet? Atuka said, "This planet's science and technology, military and other aspects are still in the initial stage of space civilization. The largest military weapon is the laser weapon. As long as we can quickly control their leader, we should be able to conquer this planet soon. By the way, Captain, now a special dew has been discovered on Earth. They named it Evolution Dew. After identification, it should be the purple light dew in the universe." Atuka added, "According to the calculation, the amount of purple light dew they have is very large, estimated to be hundreds of tons." The captain thought it was left to the Earth by the invincible strong man, and he never thought that this was bought by Luo Feng and Luo Xia in the universe. He chuckled and said, "It seems that the invincible strong man has left a lot of blessings to the earth. Captain, the most precious thing on this planet is obviously the legacy of the invincible strong man." A female crew member in the team said. "Yes, that is the invincible strong man who can enter the dark universe in the flesh and cover up the universe coordinates. If we can get the treasure of this strong man, then don't dream. Not to mention whether the invincible strong man fell on this planet, just say one thing, if we get the legacy of that strong man, will we still be able to survive?" The crew members talked about it. The captain was also frowning and thinking. At this moment, Atuka suddenly said, "Captain. Received a call request from the family fleet." The captain's expression changed slightly. He frowned and said to the crew, "You wait here first, I'll go deal with those arrogant guys." After that, he left the independent room and went to talk to the people of the family fleet. At the same time, in the sea west of the spacecraft, Luo Feng had already brought Mengyi and the others there. Babata said, "Meng Si and the others have already driven the Black Dragon Mountain spacecraft to the sky above this area, and they can attack and intercept their spacecraft at any time." Hearing this, Luo Xia looked at his eldest brother. Luo Feng nodded and said, "Let's do it." The next second, Luo Xia and the others rushed to the Space Adventure spacecraft in the sky. At this time, the space adventurers were still dreaming, and they didn't know that they had been discovered. Swallowed Star, My Understanding is Beyond Belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 138. Bang! The sea surface exploded, and Luo Xia was the first to rush to the silver-gray spaceship. With the help of Babata, he aimed at the hatch of the spaceship. 2x enhancement and domain and divine wind kick add 16x strength. Boom! Mengyi and the others who followed behind him didn't even see Luo Xia's movements clearly, and the silver-gray hatch exploded, and then Luo Xia disappeared from their sight. When the silver-gray spaceship was shaken by the impact of the huge force, Luo Xia's wind speed domain had already enveloped the entire spaceship. What happened? The crew just realized that something was wrong and was about to react, but Luo Xia had already rushed into the control room violently. Under the power of the domain, the crew's expression changes and movements, in Luo Xia's sight, were like a film that was slowed down dozens of times. He didn't give these crew members a chance to react or resist. 8. When the voice came out, 16 soul seals had been hit by him. The blood-red soul seal shot at the sea of consciousness and dantian of the crew members like a ghost. "Seal!" The next second, Luo Xia shouted coldly. The crew members in the control room found that their mental power and original force were blocked. The domain was taken back. Luo Xia looked coldly at the crew members who were suppressed by the seal and could not move. "Damn it! It's the native of this planet. He actually has the power of the domain. What did you do to us? Why can't the original force and mental power be used? Didn't Atuka say that the strongest people on this planet are Hong and Lei Shen? Who is this guy who suddenly appeared?" The crew wanted to resist, but they found that their mental power and original force could not be used. Suddenly, one by one, they became panicked. "No. Luo Xia, there is another person who is not here." When Luo Xia was dealing with the crew of the spaceship, Babata was dealing with the intelligence of the spaceship. After some intrusion, she found that the captain of the ship was not in control. "Where is he?" Luo Xia asked. "This way." Babata directed Luo Xia. Buzz! The domain expanded again. When Luo Feng and his team rushed into the command room, they only saw 8 panicked crew members. "Where's Xiao Xia?" Luo Feng was stunned, but looking at the controlled crew members, he still waved his hand and asked Mengyi and others behind him to take action. "Mengyi, catch them and keep an eye on them." Boom! At this moment, a command room of the spacecraft suddenly exploded. When Luo Feng was about to go over, he saw Luo Xia flying back with an alien in a silver-gray combat uniform. Bang! Luo Xia threw the captain to the ground and said to Luo Feng, "Brother, this guy is the captain of this spaceship. When I went to find him just now, Babata said that he was in the virtual universe and should be looking for slave traders or contacting his family." The captain was thrown to the ground and felt humiliated. He was shocked and angry. Didn't Atuka say that the most powerful people on this planet are Hong and Lei Shen? Who is this young man who suddenly appeared, a 4th-level star-level spiritualist, and has a domain? And what about these star-level spiritualists who captured the crew? 3 of them have reached the 3rd-level star level. Atuka, what's going on? The captain questioned his intelligent light brain with his consciousness. Babata laughed, "Are you talking to your intelligent light brain? It's a pity that she can't respond to you now." On the screen of the console, an intelligent with tied hands and feet and blocked mouth appeared. She looked at Babata with anger and wanted to resist. But the gap between her and Babata was too big. Any resistance she made could not make any waves under Babata's suppression. Luo Feng looked at Luo Xia and said, "Xiao Xia, you seem to have become stronger again? You can solve these guys by yourself." Luo Xia smiled and looked at these cosmic adventurers. People with domains are invincible in the same realm before the cosmic level. Moreover, he has now comprehended the power of the law. The strength of these crew members is not weak, but Rorschach is too strong and too fast. Before these crew members could react, they used the soul seal to seal their original force and mental power. Although there was some resistance when the captain was captured, the captain, who was only 2 levels higher than Rorschach, was still sealed in the moment of fighting in front of Rorschach, who had the power of the law and the domain. Death, or surrender. Rorschach looked at the captain and his crew coldly and asked in the universal language of the universe. Universal language of the universe. He actually knows the universal language of the universe. The captain and the crew were surprised. They looked at Rorschach and then at the hundreds of slaves who surrounded them, and they were terrified. "Surrender! We surrender! Don't kill me! I surrender!" The crew members shouted first. They were cosmic adventurers, not desperate warriors. If they could survive, they would not feel any pressure to surrender to the natives of the planet. The captain's handsome face was distorted. He gritted his teeth and said in a low voice, "I surrender." Rorschach knelt down, looked at the captain who had his power sealed and his whole body restrained, and asked, "What is your name? Who were you contacting when you entered the virtual universe just now?" "Brother," replied the captain. Luo Xia narrowed her eyes, "Where's your last name?" The captain was cold all over. He looked at Rorschach and said his last name, Nolan Shan. "Bro Nolan Shan. Babata, check the information about Nilan Mountain in the virtual universe for me," Rorschach ordered. "Yes." Babata's consciousness entered the virtual universe. Bro Nolan Shan was sweating profusely. He looked at Rorschach and asked, "It's ridiculous that I still treat you as indigenous people. I didn't expect that you have already been in contact with the universe." He hates it. If he had known about the existence of slaves like Rorschach, he would not have entered the Earth rashly, but would have waited slowly in space for the arrival of the family fleet. At the same time, in the virtual universe, there is a gorgeous mansion. A middle-aged man was sitting on a soft sofa, watching quietly as no one answered the call he made. "You haven't answered my call until now, it seems bro is having some trouble." The middle-aged man murmured to himself, elegantly picked up the wine glass and took a sip. He looks very similar to bro Nolan Shan, both are extremely handsome and tall. This middle-aged man is now the clan leader of Nilanshan, Yuk Nilanshan, a first-order cosmic-level powerhouse. Yuk Nilanshan pondered slightly, and then dialed the communication of his direct disciple. "Lord Patriarch Pula, have you arrived at the void area, Yuknilanshan looked at the disciples who were bowing respectfully in front of him and asked calmly. Pulla lowered her head, not daring to look at Yuknilanshan at all. He said, according to the positioning coordinates sent back by Bro, we have now reached the void area, but when I sent a communication request to Bro just now, he did not respond to me. Hearing this, Yuknilanshan narrowed his eyes and said, he didn't respond to me either. Pulla was stunned for a moment, then showed an unbelievable expression and said, does Bro want to monopolize the life planet that was ruled by the invincible strong man? Yuknilanshan smiled and shook the wine glass in his hand. Bilogo doesn't have the guts yet. The reason why he didn't respond to us is that he encountered some trouble on the living planet. He paused slightly, and then asked, Pulla, when will you arrive at the living planet? Pulla lowered his head and said, Master Patriarch, even if our entire fleet moves forward, it will take at least more than 3 months. Yuknilanshan nodded, okay, then I will give you 3 months. After 3 months, I want to hear the news that the living planet has returned to the rule of the Yuknilanshan family. Yes. Lord Patriarch. Pulla responded respectfully. Yuknilanshan hung up the communication. Even if Bro could be captured or killed by the natives of the living planet, he did not think that the living planet could block the fleet of the Yuknilanshan family. The Yuknilanshan family is the third largest family in the Carlo Empire, the elementary civilization in the universe. After Babada came out of the virtual universe, he began to popularize science for Rorschach and Lugofeng. It was established by the cosmic powerhouse Yuknilanshan 81,066 years ago. Yuknilanshan himself was the first-generation patriarch, and his name became the family name. Nowadays, Yuknilanshan himself is at the 9th level of the universe level, and he has 6 universe-level disciples. 2 of them are the second and third patriarch of the Yuknilanshan family. Luoxia and Lugofeng looked at each other with solemn expressions. Lugofeng said, this Yuknilanshan family actually has 7 universe-level experts. The problem now is that I just checked the information about this spacecraft and found that they have sent the information about the Earth back to the family. Now the Yuknilanshan family has sent a fleet to fly to the Earth. Babada said with a serious face. What? Lugofeng's face turned pale and he looked at Bro Yuknilanshan and other crew members on the ground. Luoxia asked, how many people did Yuknilanshan send here? Babada said, according to the data from the spacecraft intelligence, the Yuknilanshan family fleet dispatched this time consists of 2 warships. The army in the warship is headed by Pulla, the direct disciple of the current family patriarch of Yuknilanshan, and there are 7 more. A direct disciple of Yuknilanshan assists this Pulla. Personal disciple. The personal disciples of the Yuknilanshan family patriarch must reach the 9th level of star level before they are eligible to obtain it. In addition to these 7 9th level star level, the data shows that they also brought more than 30 Yuknilanshan guard. The strength of these Yuknilanshan guards is also at the 9th level of the stellar level. At the same time, according to the data calculated by the spacecraft's intelligent Atuka, Yuknilanshan sent about 1,000 star-level warriors and more than 10,000 planet-level warriors this time. Lugofeng's face was livid. It's hard to deal with just 1 9th level star, but this time there are more than 40. They also have more than 1,000 star-level people, and more than 10,000 planet-level people. Super Warrior. Rorschach's eyes were cold, and he glanced at Bro Nolan Mountain on the ground, and then asked Babada, Babada, can you find out from their spacecraft information how they discovered the Earth? Babada tapped his little hand in the void, and then said, according to the log data of the spacecraft, they accidentally came to the star field through a natural wormhole, and then discovered the Earth. Natural wormhole. Lugofeng murmured to himself. He never expected that what his brother was worried about would actually happen. What to do now? With the current strength of the Earth, it is simply unable to cope with the fleet of the Yuknilanshan family. Rorschach asked Babada, Babada, when will the Yuknilanshan family's fleet arrive on Earth? Babada said, in 3 months, the Yuknilanshan family fleet will arrive on Earth. 3 months. Luo Feng murmured in a low voice, then suddenly raised his head, looked at Luo Xia, and said, Xiao Xia, with our current strength, we are simply unable to fight against the Nyolanchen family's fleet. It seems that we can only buy the earth first and use the Black Dragon to the laws of the Mountain Empire are here to protect the earth. Rorschach nodded, brother, let's set off now. Babata has already prepared various data about the earth before, but there is no space coordinates. Now they have sent us the coordinates of the space wormhole, which is complete. Got the last hand information. Luo Feng looked at the members of the Space Adventurers team and asked, what should we do with these people? Luo Xia said, let's take them into custody first. If they are hit by my soul seal, they will be unable to use the force and mental power. Unless a cosmic level powerhouse helps them break my soul seal forcibly, otherwise, they are just ordinary people with relatively good physical fitness. Luo Feng nodded and told Menyi and the others, take these 9 people to Kirishima, and the spaceship will also go back. If anything happens after that, please contact us through the virtual universe in time. Yes, Master. Menyi and the others responded. Luo Feng and Luo Xia flew into the Black Dragon Mountain spaceship. When they were encircling Bro Nolanshan and the others, the Black Dragon spacecraft was driven over the Atlantic Ocean by Meng Si and the others. Luo Feng, Luo Xia, purchasing planets can only be done on planets with the official offices of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. Are you going to the Horned Dragon planet? Inside the spaceship, Babata asked. Luo Xia shook his head and asked, is there anything closer than the Horned Dragon star? Yes, Bayan star. Babata unfolded a star map. It is a planet directly ruled and stationed by the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. And it is very close to the Earth. If we set out now, we can reach it in 5 days. Then let's go to Bayan star. Luo Feng said. Yes. We are setting the destination and starting to travel through the universe. With Babata's control, the Black Dragon Mountain spacecraft disappeared into the starry sky of the solar system. 5 days later, Rorschach and the others came to Bayan star. This planet has become extremely prosperous under the development of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. After Babata parked the spacecraft at the docking port, Rorschach and Luo Feng flew to the Imperial office. These are the coordinates of this planet. This is the interstellar coordinate flight record of our arrival on this planet. All the samples, data, etc. about this planet have been placed here. It didn't take long for Luo Xia and Luo Feng to arrive at the Imperial office. After finding the relevant person in charge, they handed over the information collected by Babata to the person in charge. Internal personnel of the government office are processing these documents and information. A receptionist said, if the interstellar coordinate records and so on are confirmed to be okay, you will be rewarded with 100 billion Black Dragon coins. No. We don't want rewards. Luo Feng shook his head, I want to buy it. According to the laws of the Empire, if an unknown planet is discovered, we have the right of first refusal. The staff who were still sorting out the information suddenly became quiet and looked towards Luo Feng and Luo Xia. You want to buy a living planet? A living planet is very expensive. These 2 young people actually want to buy it? Yeah, we're going to buy it. Luo Feng said. You two, please come upstairs with me. A lean imperial official said. Good. Luo Feng and Luo Xia followed him and soon arrived at the 34th floor of the imperial office. Is this Mr. Luo? The imperial official looked at Luo Feng and Luo Xia. Are you sure you want to purchase this planet named Earth in your information? Confirm. Luo Feng frowned slightly, you should be able to buy it, right? Mr. Luo, as the first information provider to discover this ownerless planet, you certainly have the first right to purchase it. The imperial official solemnly said, but I have to remind you 2 gentlemen that after we sent the data of this planet back to the imperial headquarters just now, the reply they gave us was, when everything is confirmed to be okay, we will reward you with 100 billion Black Dragons coin. Do you know what this means? 100 billion Black Dragon coins, this is the highest reward. Luo Xia's face looked a little ugly. This means that the Empire headquarters believes that the Earth is a living planet of the highest standard. He looked at his eldest brother Luo Feng. If we want to buy the Earth, we need to pay the highest price. The imperial official glanced at Rorschach and nodded, that's right. So if you want to buy this planet, you need to pay 3 trillion Black Dragon coins. Luo Feng did not hesitate, let's buy it. Imperial official. He blinked and looked at Luo Feng and Luo Xia in surprise. This is 3 trillion Black Dragon coins. Buy it as you say. What kind of rich man is this? The imperial official said, in this case, we can start the process. As long as the process is completed, Mr. Luo can trade with us. Luo Feng frowned, how long will it take? The imperial official said with embarrassment, I am just a small official from a remote planet. I am not sure how long it will take for the headquarters to go through the process, but the law stipulates that it will take at least 30 days. 30 days, Luo Xia and Luo Feng looked at each other. Luo Xia nodded, okay, then wait for 30 days. Anyway, they now have 3 more months than in the original book, and they can still wait for only 1 month. After leaving the imperial office, Luo Xia said to Luo Feng, brother, there are only 3 months, and our strength cannot be improved too much at once. But we can buy more star level 9th level slaves. Luo Feng nodded, I will contact Wu Ci in the virtual universe now. Sorry, I am late today. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yun Song. Chapter 139. I bought 30 spiritual masters of the 9th level of the star level. After Luo Feng had an exchange with Wu Ci, he bought another 30 star level 9th level spiritual masters. A 9th level astral level spiritual master slave is worth 15 billion Black Dragon coins. 30 is 450 billion Black Dragon coins. Another big chunk of money out. But in order to protect the Earth and their families, Luo Xia and Luo Feng are willing to spend money. Because the transaction was completed in the virtual universe, the next 30 slaves will be sent directly to Bayan Star. After purchasing the slaves, Rorschach and Luo Feng headed for the killing fields on Babata's advice. The killing fields is a special place in the virtual universe. In killing fields, you can spend money to customize your opponents. As long as you have enough money, any opponent can be customized. For example, Rorschach can completely customize another self and play against self. And the strength of the self can still be set at will. Rorschach can give another self 32 times the power and speed. Of course, such customization is very expensive. In addition to this customization function, Killing Fields also has a function to invite battles. This invitation battle is similar to a fighting game. In the Killing Field, you can challenge other strong men or accept challenges from others. Oh, one more thing, just like the Earth's virtual space, in this virtual universe, everyone's physical fitness is also the same, they are all 4th level apprentices, junior warriors. This killing field is so majestic. Luo Xia and Luo Feng came to a huge hall. Looking at the huge background like blood drops, Luo Feng couldn't help but admire. The style is impressive, but the consumption is also really expensive, Luo Xia said. Fortunately for Luo Feng, as a 9th level planet level person, he only needs to pay 1 million Black Dragon coins every day. But Rorschach is a 4th level star, and the cost is huge. If you don't have any wealth, you can't afford to come to this killing field. There were not many people in this killing field. Many of them were cosmic mercenaries, exuding a powerful and sturdy aura. Brother, are you going to find someone to fight with? Or are you going to customize your opponent first? Luo Xia twisted his neck and asked Luo Feng next to him. Let me customize my opponent first, Luo Feng said. I just happened to have an idea recently, and I might be able to realize it in one fell swoop with the help of this customized opponent. Rorschach nodded. Then let me customize an opponent first. The two brothers separated as they spoke. There are passages in this hall. After entering the passage, you will enter an independent battle space. Rorschach had set his opponent. In his setting, the opponent has all his abilities, and they are all enhanced versions. For example, Rorschach's power is now 16 times, but the opponent's power is 32 times. Rorschach's current domain is the 3rd level, while the opponent's is the 4th level. Buzz. As he set up, a figure very similar to him appeared on the opposite side. The battle begins. Rorschach licked his lips, and in the next second, all his strength burst out. Speed field. Kamikaze legs. 2x enhanced talent. Understand the power of law. In this vast scene of rocks, Rorschach and his opponent fought fiercely. 2 seconds later, Luo Xia's body was shaken, and he saw his body being cut into 2 halves, turning into dots of fluorescent light and dissipating. TCH, the enhanced version of me is really strong. With my current strength, I can't even hold on for 5 seconds. After being resurrected, a trace of madness flashed in Rorschach's eyes. He recalled and summarized the last battle, and his brain seemed to be boiling. With his strong understanding, the battle that lasted only 2 seconds was absorbed and digested by him. Not long after, Luo Xia flicked the long sword in his hand, and an excited smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Haha! I have mastered 32 times the force. Come again. He laughed and started a new round of fighting. 3 days later, Rorschach was moving at high speed, with the long sword in his hand at a weird angle, and cut off the opponent's head with one strike, winning the victory. Well, the field has broken through to the 4th level. Now I can not only increase my own power, but also suppress the opponent's speed. The 32 times the force is also fully controlled. Not only can it be used to explode power, but the speed and defense can also have the same amplitude. My understanding of the law has improved a little bit. Rorschach summed it up and customized an opponent for himself. This time the opponent is extremely good at attacking with mental power, and the amplitude of his power has reached the same level as Rorschach, which is 280 times. Because Rorschach's soul and understanding are extremely powerful, his telekinesis amplitude is the fastest to increase. While others are still pursuing dozens of times the telekinesis amplitude, his telekinesis amplitude has already reached 280 times. Very good. Next is the training of mental power. Luo Xia looked at the opponent he had pinched, controlled the arc blade and rushed forward. Soon after, he defeated his custom-made opponent. Rorschach said with some emotion, although this customized opponent can play a teaching role, it still cannot be compared with a real person's battle. Next, go to the decisive battle space to have a look. With that said, he exited this independent battle space. Rorschach came to the hall, called out Babata who was playing a game, and asked, Babata, where is my brother? Babata checked and said, Brother you is still fighting a customized opponent. Rorschach nodded, okay. Then I'll ignore him for now. He came to the dual space and began to challenge real opponents. I am currently at the 4th level of the astral level, and I can only challenge opponents of the same level for the time being. Luo Xia glanced at the rules, and then began to select opponents. In front of him, there is information about various opponents. If Rorschach chooses an opponent, he can challenge the opponent. If the opponent agrees, they will enter the dual space and fight. Each opponent in this dual space has a score. From low to high, there are 1 star, 2 stars, 9 stars. Rorschach has not yet fought a single battle, so he is not rated yet. Without ratings, Even if I challenge high-star opponents, they may not agree. Rorschach touched his chin, and finally selected a 4th-level astral-level spiritual master as his opponent, and issued a challenge application. Then let's start from scratch. The other party accepted it quickly. Rorschach disappeared into the hall and entered a battle space full of yellow sand. His opponent is an alien with a big head and a thin neck, who looks a bit ugly. "Hello," Rorschach greeted. The alien looked at Rorschach, grinned and said, "Watcher, you are quite polite. For the sake of your politeness, I will be gentler." Watcher is the name Rorschach chose in this dual space. After all, his name is so closely related to the famous anti-hero in Watchmen. It feels unreasonable not to pay tribute to a Watchman. Luoxia smiled at his opponent and said, "Everyone can talk big words. Let me show you the truth." The next second, the two people disappeared suddenly. Boom! They appeared at the same time, the weapons in their hands collided together, and the terrifying power was released, blasting a huge hole in the earth. Rorschach's opponent's name is Magic Eye. When Demon Eye was holding a spear and confronting Rorschach, he felt an extremely huge force coming from the opponent's sword. After resisting slightly for a second, his body was lifted by the huge force. Turned out, what a strong effort! The Magic Eye was secretly surprised in the air. As I said before, in this virtual universe, everyone's physical fitness is the same. The reason why Rorschach can crush the opponent with strength is because of his strength. But what mentalists compete against is not physical strength, but mental strength. The huge eyes of the Demon Eye suddenly lit up with colorful light. A stream of spiritual power started from his eyes and spread to all directions. "Do you know why I'm called Magic Eye?" The Magic Eye deftly removed its power, fell to the ground, and smiled proudly, "Because as soon as my Magic Eye is opened, the enemies I fight will be pulled into my illusion. Now, feel the despair." He drank loudly, his eyes bursting with even brighter light. However, just when he was about to use illusion to defeat Rorschach, a long sword seemed to have penetrated the space, suddenly appeared behind the Magic Eye, and pierced his head with the sword. Rorschach glanced at the oppressive eyes floating in the sky and curled his lips. "You talk too much nonsense." As his words fell, the Magic Eye in the sky began to break apart. The illusion disappears. In the first battle, Luoxia wins. Over the next few weeks, Rorschach immersed himself in the dueling space. Because the system automatically added the information owning a domain to his profile, various high-star experts of 7 or 8 stars began to come to him to fight. Rorschach also responded one by one. Of course, these high-star experts are no match for Rorschach. With the same physique, Rorschach's combat power is top-notch. Even if a cosmic-level powerhouse comes, he still has to kneel in front of him and sing conquer. After all, the power of a cosmic powerhouse is not as abnormal as Rorschach's. For example, in the original novel, Nyolanchen, a 9th-level cosmic-level powerhouse, only exerted twice as much power as Hong and Lei Shen. But Rorschach is now 32 times stronger. Far more than Hong and Lei Shen. Rorschach continues to set a new winning streak in the dual space. 195 wins, 0 losses. 215 wins, 0 losses. 896 wins, 0 losses. Rorschach does not refuse anyone who comes, and as long as someone applies to fight with him, he will agree. Sometimes I can play more than 100 games a day. In such high-intensity battles, Rorschach constantly learns from others' strengths and absorbs the superb fighting skills of his opponents, turning every battle into food that makes him stronger. Therefore, although soaking in the killing field cannot make Rorschach's body evolve and become stronger, his combat experience and skills are constantly improving, becoming stronger and reaching the state of transformation. In the high-intensity battle, his domain has been upgraded to the 5th level. Now, Rorschach can use his domain to greatly improve his speed and reaction speed, and his domain power can also affect the enemy, causing the enemy to fall into a severe sluggish state. Of course, if the strength gap between Rorschach and his opponent is too large, the influence of the field will be greatly reduced. However, entering the 5th level of Speed Realm still brought a huge improvement to Rorschach. Ding! Valkyrie has sent you a challenge application. Do you accept it? Suddenly, Rorschach received a message requesting a challenge. He checked the opponent's strength and found that the opponent was a 9-star Stellar First Order Master. The first level of star level, but there are 9 stars. Rorschach narrowed his eyes slightly and accepted the other party's challenge. Aha! Rorschach came to a desert battlefield. Hoo ho ho! The strong wind howled, blowing the yellow sand all over the sky. Not far in front of Rorschach, stood a woman in a white robe. She was extremely beautiful, with eyes as clear as the moon. At this time, she was looking at Rorschach calmly, holding 2 knives in her hands. Hello, Rorschach greeted with a smile. Valkyrie looked at Rorschach and nodded, in response to Rorschach. Shall we begin then? The thin voice was drowned by the wind and sand, and when a touch of yellow sand stirred past the position of the Valkyrie, she suddenly disappeared. Bang! Rorschach stood on the spot, holding the long sword, and stepped back without looking back, blocking the swords that fell from the Valkyrie. Immediately afterwards, he swiped his long sword, and the sword light flickered. The Valkyrie flashed and then disappeared again. She flashed to the left side of Luoxia as if teleporting. The long knife in her hand slashed at Luoxia's neck and waist at a weird angle. She was obviously a first-level star, but she was extremely powerful. She only launched 2 moves, and she felt a little pressure on Luoxia. The power of law. Rorschach dodged the Valkyrie's attack and looked at her in surprise. He actually understood the power of law at the first level of the star level. Although there is only a trace, it is extremely powerful. While Rorschach was fighting Valkyrie, he was in a highly private meditation room in the killing fields. A tall, burly man, all covered in green and black, was sitting on the sofa, looking at the screen in front of him. On the screen, the battle between Rorschach and Valkyrie was playing. His eyes were wide open, with a look of disbelief on his face. The power of law. This kid not only has a domain. He also understands the power of law. He looked at the screen and saw that every fierce attack of the Valkyrie was easily dodged and blocked by Rorschach, with a very solemn expression on his face, and it seems that the power of the law he has comprehended is stronger than Myra. Myra is the name of that Valkyrie. The battle between Valkyrie and Rorschach was arranged by the burly man. Ever since Rorschach started fighting in the dual space, the burly man had noticed Rorschach. After all, there are too few people who can own a field at the stellar level. Especially Rorschach's domain level is very high. When the burly man discovered that Rorschach's domain had reached the 5th level, he was even more excited. In order to see more of Rorschach's potential and possibilities, the burly man arranged such a battle today. Myra lost. The burly man looked at the picture. When Myra's swords were swung away by Rorschach, revealing a large area of empty space, he secretly shook his head and told the result of the battle. Sure enough, when he finished speaking, you could see that Rorschach in the picture flashed, and the Valkyrie's delicate and beautiful head flew up. In a slight daze, her body turned into fluorescent light and disappeared. Rorschach returned to the hall and exhaled. It's scary to meet a woman who has mastered the power of law at the first level of the stellar level. It's really scary. Fortunately, he was superior in skills, otherwise he would have lost his unbeatable record to this woman. On the other side, Valkyrie Myra also returned to a corner of the killing field after her failure. She touched her smooth and white neck, looking a little dazed and stunned. After a while, she breathed out gently, her eyes sparkling, "He is so strong." As she spoke, she glanced at Luo Feng in the distance, then flashed to the burly man's meditation room and knocked on the door. "Is it Myra?" The burly man's voice came from the door. "Come in." Myra walked into the room, saluted the burly man respectfully and said, "Sir, I can't beat him." The burly man smiled and said, "It's normal that you can't beat him. After all, his understanding is too high. He is even the most intelligent person among all the people I have ever met." Having said this, the burly man touched his chin. "Others in this killing field can only improve a little bit at most, but he can gain insights and make breakthroughs in every battle. In the past month or so, his progress has been very great. Amazing. Our killing fields were created just for him." The man glanced at Myra and chuckled, "And not only does he possess the 5th level domain, he also understands the power of the original law like you. The laws he understands are even deeper than you. It's normal that you can't beat him." Myra nodded, but she was not discouraged or disappointed. Because during the fight with Rorschach, she sensed everything the man said from Rorschach. The burly man laughed and said to Myra, "Okay, you can leave the virtual universe and go back. I have already distributed the contribution points." "Yes, sir." Myra saluted, then her body turned into nothingness and disappeared in front of the burly man. "Babata, hasn't my brother come out of killing floor yet?" Rorschach asked Babata. While Luoxia was challenging the masters in the dual space, Luo Fen was still soaking in the killing space, practicing the sky escape shuttle. Babata shook his head. "No, he is still in the killing space. By the way, I have to remind you that in 3 days, it will be the 30th day." "I know." Luoxia nodded and sighed. The efficiency of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire is really not very good. In the past month, there has been no notice. Every time Luoxia and Luo Fen went over to ask, the imperial officials always said still going through the process. Unless otherwise stipulated by law, the process may take up to 30 days. Luoxia and Luo Fen were really worried that this process would continue. Fortunately, the 30-day deadline is coming soon. Even if the Nilanshan family interferes, they can't stop Luo Fen and Luoxia from purchasing the earth. While talking to Babata, Rorschach suddenly saw the staff of the killing field approaching. "Sir, there is a meditation room owner upstairs who wants to see you," the staff member said to Rorschach with a smile on his face. Rorschach was a little surprised. The people who rented a meditation room were at least at the cosmic level. "Lead the way." After thinking slightly, Luoxia said to the staff. The staff walked ahead and soon knocked on the door of a meditation room with Rorschach. "Come in." A deep voice came from the room. The staff did not enter the door. After giving a slight salute to Rorschach, they turned around and left. Rorschach walked into the meditation room alone. In the bright meditation room, there stood a burly man. On the left chest of the armor he wore, there was a medal with 2 planets on it. This is the symbol of the 2-star mercenaries of the universe. As for the 2-star mercenaries, their strength is above the domain lord level. Luoxia was slightly surprised. He didn't expect that the person who summoned him was actually a powerful person at the domain lord level. Rorschach has met the adults. He saluted the burly man. "I have been observing you for almost a month." The burly man looked at Rorschach and smiled. "You have been training every day since you entered the killing field, and you have basically not stopped. Am I right?" Rorschach nodded. "Why do you have to stay in the killing fields all the time? Just come here a few times now and then. Staying here for a long time is a waste of time," the burly man said to Rorschach. Rorschach smiled and said, "Sir, mainly in reality, I am waiting for the outcome of a matter, so I will stay in the killing field for this month. If that matter is resolved, I won't come here often." The burly man suddenly realized, "So that's it? I thought you didn't know anything and were confused by the various functions provided by the killing fields." Thanks to book friend 20231105684509 for the 100 reading coins. Thank you very much. At the same time, thank you to all the book friends who subscribed and voted. Thank you very much. Swallowed Star, my understanding is beyond belief. Author, Bo Yoon Song. Chapter 140. Why did the burly man say this to Rorschach? That's because, although fighting in the killing field has training and guidance effects, it cannot really make a person's life evolve and improve. If you want to evolve your life, you still have to pay attention to reality. Only by practicing, taking risks, fighting, and experiencing great terror in life and death in reality can life be sublimated. And in the killing field, death is not really death. Everyone may feel pressure in the battle, but they will not feel the horror of death. This is the only shortcoming of the killing field. It is also the biggest flaw. People who want to become strong will not indulge in the killing field. At most, when they need to learn or verify a certain trick, the strong will come to the killing field. But Rorschach has been fighting here. It seems that this place is reality. Pursuing a meaningless winning streak. So the burly man is confused. Doesn't Rorschach have a teacher? No one told Rorschach that only life and death fights in reality can make life evolve and achieve breakthroughs. Now after hearing Rorschach's answer, the burly man suddenly realized. Oh, it turns out that this kid had something to do in reality, so he entered the killing field to kill time. Of course, in the burly man's cognition, he felt that Rorschach's talent should not be wasted in the killing field. However, in fact, for Rorschach, who has a supernatural comprehension, this killing field, except for not being able to make his life evolve and improve, the other functions are too good for him. For example, the power of law. By fighting with a customized opponent with the power of law, he can comprehend a deeper power of law from the opponent. This is much faster than Rorschach's forced comprehension in reality. Here, his comprehension can be maximized. Many of the skills, abilities, and talents learned before can continue to be comprehended, optimized, and broken through in the battles in the killing field. Although many people can also improve their combat experience and skills in the killing field, they may have to fight hundreds or thousands of games to improve. But Rorschach is different. His comprehension allows him to make progress in every battle. Don't underestimate Rorschach's month in the killing field. Now he has experienced more than 800 high-quality battles. The experience and skills he has learned from these battles will greatly improve his combat ability after he returns to reality. According to Rorschach's estimation, even if his current level is only the 4th level of the star level, as long as he uses the experience and skills gained in this month, he can fight even if he encounters a 1st level cosmic level strongman. And this is all brought by the killing field. In short, the reason why the burly man looks down on the killing field and thinks that Rorschach should not stay here for more is because he thinks that the life and death struggle in reality is the only way for life to evolve and the strong to rise. But for Rorschach, whether it is the killing field in reality or the virtual universe, under the strong comprehension, it is actually the same. Of course, if you want to truly evolve life, you still have to focus on reality. In the meditation room, Luoxia looked at the burly man and asked, "I don't know why the master asked me to come here. Ha ha ha, I haven't introduced myself yet." The burly man laughed, "Let me introduce myself to you first. I am Minjiao, an external steward of the Virtual Universe Company, the Black Dragon Mountain branch stationed in the Black Dragon Mountain Empire. You can call me Mr. Minjiao or Lord Minjiao. You are actually from the Virtual Universe Company." Babata's somewhat excited voice sounded in Luoxia's consciousness. Luoxia ignored Babata, bowed slightly to Minjiao, and shouted, "Lord Minjiao." Although he was just an external steward, he was not someone Luoxia could offend. The Virtual Universe Company is one of the 5 giants in the universe. Its strength is much stronger than that of the Ganu Universe country. Even teacher Hu Yanbo is nothing in front of the virtual universe company. Luo Xia still remembers that the immortal who was praised as a god in the early stage was just a gatekeeper at the headquarters of the virtual universe company. Minjiao smiled and nodded. I called you here to ask you if you are willing to join our company and become one of us. Join the virtual universe company. Rorschach blinked. He knew that he would be noticed by the virtual universe company after he emerged. But he didn't expect it to be so soon. Minjiao looked at Luo Xia and said with shining eyes, you are very talented. The vast universe, such a huge universe country like the Black Dragon Mountain Empire, has countless geniuses. But you, among all the geniuses I have seen, are the best. Only the fourth level of the star level, you have the fifth realm and comprehend the power of the origin law. This is incredible. Luo Xia, if possible, I even want to recommend you to the company's headquarters. Then recommend it? Listening to a strong man at least at the domain master level praising himself so much, Luo Xia was a little flattered. Although he knew that his soul was powerful and his comprehension was against the sky. But facing the vast universe, he was not very clear about his genius level and what level he could be considered. Now looking at what Minjiao said, it seems that his genius is one of the best even in this vast universe. Rorschach, if you join our virtual universe company, I can apply for an SS level blood evolution agent for you. Mingyu said to Luo Xia. Evolution agent? Bloodline evolution agent. In his consciousness, Babata's startled voice sounded again. Rorschach raised an eyebrow. Rorschach, promise him. Babata said eagerly, the bloodline evolution agent is a restricted commodity in the universe, and you may not be able to buy it even if you have money. If you get the bloodline evolution agent, your Earthling genes can be upgraded and evolved again. This is definitely first class, a great thing. Rorschach did not respond to Babata, but looked at Mingyu calmly and asked, Master Mingyu, I would like to ask first, what do I need to do if I join Virtual Universe Company? What are my obligations? According to Mingyu, he can only join the branch now, not the headquarters. As for the recommendation to the headquarters, it was just a polite word from Mingyu. After all, his identity is just an external deacon. Mingyu thought about it and said, in the early days, the company is training you, so the management will be very strict. You must obey the company's orders, go to training, go through life and death tests, etc. At this point, his tone softened slightly and continued, however, as your strength increases, your freedom will continue to expand. The stronger the universe level, domain lord, and world lord, the more freedom you have. In the later stages, it's just a matter of doing something at the critical moment. Rorschach frowned, being strictly managed. If he was strictly managed for hundreds of years, wouldn't he go crazy? He couldn't stand this. Thinking of this, Luo Xia looked at Mingyu, shook his head and said, Master Mingyu, I'm sorry, I've been used to freedom since I was a child, and I can't accept strict management. Mingyu raised his eyebrows, but was not surprised. Many geniuses can't stand strict management. Many geniuses are like this. He has met many of them. It's okay if you can't accept it. The requirements I just mentioned are all for internal staff. Mingyu smiled and continued. Actually, our virtual universe company is divided into internal and external. For example, I am the external deacon. The reason why I recommend you to join the internal is because internal members have many benefits. For example, the bloodline evolution agent I just mentioned, the internal staff available for free. Having said this, he glanced at Rorschach and said, if you become an external member of our company, you don't need to abide by such strict management and regulations, and you will have more freedom. Of course, the benefits are not as good as those of internal members. Ask him, Babata said in his mind, ask him if he can get the blood evolution agent if he becomes an outsider. Lord Minjiao, if you become an outsider, Can you get the blood evolution agent? Luo Xia asked. Mingyu nodded, of course you can get it, but it's not free. Every outsider has 3 opportunities to purchase the bloodline evolution agent. The first one can enjoy a discounted price, the second one at the original price, and the third one at the original price. The price will be too high. Rorschach asked, how much does it cost? Mingyu said, for ordinary bloodline evolution agents, the first purchase price is 100 million dry witch coins. As for bloodline evolution agents of type S and above, you must become an insider of the company to obtain them. So expensive? Luo Xia was a little frightened. Mingyu said with a smile, this is a powerful potion that can enhance life genes. Only our virtual universe company has it. Although there are a few parts circulating outside, you must have monstrous means and astonishing money to buy it. Lord Minjiao, can I see what the rules are for external members? Rorschach asked. He is a little greedy for the blood evolution agent. Mainly, this thing can evolve life and improve genes. Although Rorschach's life gene was upgraded to a 10-fold level by the power of the will of the original universe. But who would object to having too much money? These are some rules for becoming an external member of my virtual universe company. Take a look and see if you can accept it. Mingyu pointed at the screen in front of him, and rules immediately appeared on it. Rorschach read it carefully, and after a while, he nodded secretly. The rules for external members are indeed much looser, and there are basically no restrictions as long as they do not join hostile forces. Lord Minjiao, I am willing to become an external member of the company. Luo Xia said respectfully to Mingyu. Mingyu laughed loudly, welcome to join our virtual universe company. Now you are an external member of our virtual universe company, Black Dragon Mountain. You are temporarily under my jurisdiction. If you have any questions, you can send me an email directly. Yes, Lord Minjiao. Luo Xia responded, and under Mingyu's guidance, signed contracts in the virtual universe. In the universe, because the virtual universe is highly developed and covers the entire universe, contracts signed here have the same effect as those signed in reality. After signing the contract and becoming an external member of the virtual universe company, Luo Xia said goodbye to Mingyu. Walking in the hall of the killing field, Rorschach asked Babata, Babata, do you think I can buy 2 copies of the bloodline evolution agent? The company just doesn't allow me to sell it. There's no rule that I can't use it for my relatives, right? That's right, Babata nodded, but it will cost 1.1 billion dry witch coins. It's really painful to think about it. Luo Xia sighed while placing an order for 2 bloodline gene potions through the virtual universe company's internal network. After buying the earth and solving the problem of the Nilanshan family, I will go out and start making money. Otherwise, the teacher will say the money is running out. Xioxia, what are you mumbling here? Suddenly, the voice of eldest brother Luo Feng came from behind. Luo Xia turned around and looked around, smiling and saying, Brother, how is your training in Dunshanshuo going? Luo Feng nodded, the second form of swordfish formation and sword matrix have been completely mastered. When I used them before, I couldn't bring out the full power of these 2 formations, but now I have no problem. As he said this, he asked Rorschach, what about you, how many consecutive wins do you have now? Rorschach smiled and said, 897 wins. Okay, Luo Feng's eyes lit up and he said with a smile. The 2 brothers chatted for a while about cultivation matters, and then called the Earthside to confirm that everything was fine at home. Then they exited the virtual universe and began to prepare for the purchase of Earth in the future. 3 days later, Luo Feng and Luo Xia came to the Imperial office again. They found the official who had handled their business last time. Luo Feng asked, Mr. Flowers, has the process for the planet named Earth we submitted been completed? When Floss saw Rorschach and Luo Feng, he smiled and said, Mr. Luo Feng, Mr. Rorschach, you are here. Congratulations, the living planet named Earth has been certified by the Empire as apply for purchase. He looked at the two brothers and asked, according to the work process, I need to ask these two gentlemen again, do you really want to buy that living planet called Earth? Luo Feng nodded, confirm. Then please come with me. An hour later, Floss looked at Luo Feng with a smile and said, congratulations, Mr. Luo Feng, from now on, you are the lord of this planet, the Earth. Oh, I should change my name to Lord, congratulations, Lord. Thanks. Luo Feng smiled and gave Luo Xia an excited high five. We can go back to Earth now. Luo Feng said excitedly after coming out of the Imperial office. Luo Xia smiled and shook his head, brother, we have to go to Beilangzing. The detectors we bought before are all there. I was so happy and confused that I forgot about it. Luo Feng slapped his forehead and said with a smile. The two brothers did not stay on the Bayan star for long. They took 30 slaves of the 9th level of the star and transferred to the Balan star to receive the detector there and the blood evolution agent purchased by Rorschach. Balan star is not far from Bayan star. 2 days later, Luo Xia and the others arrived at Balan star and obtained the detector and bloodline evolution agent purchased here. Xioxia, what kind of potion is this? On the Black Dragon Mountain spaceship, Luo Feng asked, holding a bloodline evolution agent that glowed like a needle. The bloodline evolution agent, I bought it from Virtual Universe Company, Rorschach explained. Hearing this, Luo Feng nodded. When chatting before, Luo Xia also told him that a big shot who might be the domain lord found Luo Xia and asked him to join the Virtual Universe Company and become an external member. This thing can greatly promote the evolution of bloodlines, Rorschach said. Immediately afterwards, he injected the blood evolution agent into his body. As the colored liquid in the needle blended into his body, Rorschach felt pains like 1,000 cuts, impacting his nerves. He groaned. Ordinary people simply cannot bear this kind of pain. But Luo Xia could still remind Luo Feng, brother, this thing hurts a little. Just be prepared. Luo Feng blinked and saw that Luo Xia was erect and hesitantly used the blood evolution agent. The next second, he fell to the ground in pain and shouted, Is this a little painful? He. Luo Xia bared his teeth and smiled. Babata shouted, please bear with it, this thing is to improve the bloodline and change it from the deepest level. It is indeed very painful, but just bear with it and it will be fine. Luo Feng felt his consciousness trembling. He gritted his teeth and asked, how long will it take? It was quick, less than an hour, Babata said. Luo Feng. An hour? Isn't this going to cost me my life? On the other side, Rorschach could still bear it. Although it was extremely painful, his will could bear it. An hour later, Luo Feng collapsed on the ground, covered in sweat, and gasped, I'm so tired, so tired. I've never been so tired since I became a warrior. Rorschach sat cross-legged beside him, breathing deeply and shallowly. Babata said, you should quickly absorb the Muya crystal. The vitality contained in it can replenish the vitality you just consumed. Promote your life evolution. When Luo Feng heard this, he quickly got up and began to absorb Muya crystal. On the other side, Luo Xia also took out the Muya crystal to absorb it. Time passed little by little, and the auras of Luo Feng and Luo Xia were rising. Finally, Luo Feng's mental power broke through to the first level of stellar level. Warrior planet level 7th level. And Rorschach also improved by 1 level. Currently, he is at the 5th level of the spiritual star level and the 3rd level of the warrior star level. But the life gene doesn't seem to have improved much. Luo Xia carefully sensed his life gene and found that before comparison, it had improved a little, just more than doubled. In other words, his current life gene has only reached 11 times. Is it because it's just an ordinary blood evolution agent? Rorschach thought about it for a while, but was not too disappointed. After all, life genes are difficult to improve. The life genes of many immortal level experts are 1 or 2 times stronger than ordinary lives. Zioxia, after we return, we will directly contact their clan leader through Bro Nolan Mountain and claim my identity as the Earth Lord. I believe we can force their family's fleet back. After taking a shower and changing his clothes, Luo Feng returned to the command room and discussed with Luo Xia the plan for returning to Earth. Luo Xia nodded and said, the laws of the Black Dragon Mountain Empire should still be able to deter the Nyolanchen family, but I guess they won't give up so easily. Luo Feng hesitated and said, what do you mean? They may have retreated in large numbers, but some people were left behind to secretly come to Earth to look for the inheritance of teacher Hu Yanbo, Luo Xia said. Luo Feng thought about it and frowned deeper and deeper. Indeed. By then, even if we catch those people, the Nyolanchen family can claim that they have nothing to do with those people. He slapped the armrest of his seat angrily. Luo Xia said, brother, don't worry, they don't dare to keep too many people. If it's just a small group of people, we can completely eliminate them when they are on Earth. Luo Feng nodded. The people the other party can send will not exceed the stellar level. With the current true strength of Luo Xia and Luo Feng, they are not afraid of any stellar level enemies.